Man, that was a lot of waiting. What's up, everybody? Welcome into Shop Talk, presented by growthtools.com. That's our company, our website, and this is your favorite weekly show to learn how to get more customers for your business. Every week, we're going to teach you one practical thing you can use in your business in order to get more customers. And today, we got some really cool stuff queued up. We'll share here in a few minutes. But first off, I'm going to mute my phone so you don't hear me 20 seconds delayed. First up, I want to introduce these fine gentlemen with me today. Mr. Will DeShazo, our Director of Sales, coming to you live from Birmingham, Alabama. Will, how's the septic tank today?
Yeah, the septic tank is empty today. That is a good thing, but 24 hours ago was not a good thing. So yeah, we're doing great and sunshiny here in Birmingham now.
Love it, man. Thanks for being with us. And Mr. Ben, coming from Idaho. How about you, man? How's marketing going at Growth Tools today?
Oh, it's going great. And you can tell I'm a little bit grainy. I'm way out in the boonies in Idaho. So you get the pixelated version of Ben today.
Very cool. Thank y'all for being here. Will and Ben will be hanging out with us. Will runs sales for us. Ben runs marketing for us. So as we go today, we're going to be talking about sales and marketing activities. So they'll jump in and chime in and share some color and highlight as we go, as they're the ones actually in the weeds, running the business and doing their thing. So let's jump in. Oh, that is not the right screen. All right. Hang tight a second. Oh, there we go. Nope. There. All right. We're going to make sure this actually works. So here in a few minutes, that's not right either. Stand by. I thought I had all this queued up and the tech gets the best of us here. All right, let's zoom in to actual slides so you can see them. Here we go. All right. Last week, I warned all of y'all we're using new tech and nothing actually went wrong. And this week, this is our second week of it, and we actually had a little faux pas. So, all right. So real quick, I want to give a couple shout outs to people that were on Shop Talk last week. Last week, we talked about how to get 1,000 email subscribers from a simple lead magnet. And by the end of the day, I actually checked back on the YouTube video at the end of the day, and Eduardo had already commented on the video. He said, boom, just went live, ended it, just when the live ended, I put it all into practice step by step, and it goes incredibly well. And 19 hours later, I had more than 80 email subscribers. Let's keep it going. So Eduardo, during Shop Talk last week, took action on what we talked about and had already added 80 email subscribers. So I want to give a shout out to Eduardo. I'm going to give the first ever Shop Talk shout down to a guy named Peter, who came in and trolled us on the YouTube channel last week and said, how come you only have 246 subscribers? You're going to teach me how to get 1,000. Which if Peter would have watched it, we were talking about email subscribers, not YouTube subscribers. Definitely don't listen to me giving advice on how to grow a YouTube channel. I've never had a YouTube channel before. Technically, we've had it for 7 or 8 years, but I've never paid attention to it at all. So give shout down to Peter, shout out to Eduardo. Anybody that takes action, post in the comments on YouTube, I'll definitely give a shout out at the beginning of Shop Talk each week. So thanks for Peter, even trolling us. We thank you. Eduardo, thank you for giving me some content and taking action. So my goal today on Shop Talk is that you leave knowing how to get your first $25,000 coaching client. I'm going to give you step by step of how I've done that so you can do the same thing. So coming up in a few minutes, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to do that. By the way, I think this is I think it's episode number 8 of Shop Talk. I don't know. I haven't actually kept count. That's off the top of my head. I think we did 5 this year, 2 or 3 last year, and this one. So maybe it's episode 9. We need to keep it running total and put it in an intro so we actually have it. But one question we got asked a good bit in the first handful of episodes as we're kind of trying to figure out the format is, can I get the recording? How do we get the resources, the slides, all that stuff? Hey, by the way, what's up, David? Good to see you, man. Me and Zach and Jeff went out to dinner the other night, and we're sharing good war stories. So good to see you in the chat, man. So if you're not able to stay for the whole thing, make sure you text. If you're already on the text list, you don't need to text again. But if you haven't joined the VIP list, it's totally free. Just text VIP to 615-903-8108. And we'll send out tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. the recording, the slides. I'm going to share a bunch of emails and swipe files and offer templates and stuff like that. If you're international, sometimes the tech stuff gets weird. I don't really know why, but it gets weird. Maybe Ben can explain it to us. But you just email a VIP to vip@growthtools.com and we'll email it out to you. So anyway, if the text thing don't work, just text VIP to vip@growthtools and we'll make sure you get it. All right, before we jump in, I want to share every week I'm reading books, and I like to start by sharing one of my favorite books I'm reading right now. And this book, I actually finished this book about a month ago and I forgot to share it. So I pulled it up today, and this is a fantastic book. Don't get caught up in the title. This book, the title is called Write Useful Books. a modern approach to designing and refining recommendable nonfiction. And this is a great book for how to produce a complex piece of content, is what it is. It happens to be framed up in how to write a book. You could use it to write an amazing evergreen blog post. You could use it to actually, the piece of content I was thinking of the whole time was how to create a really good sales webinar. The methodology it teaches in here is exceptional. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give away a copy of the book. It is $19.99 on Amazon. Thankfully, it's cheaper than the one last week. The one last week was $39. So those get expensive giving away. So today we're going to give away a couple copies of Write Useful Books to, first off, to one person that shares a link to the YouTube live right now. So I want you to text it to a friend, post it on social, post it on Twitter. Ben will drop some links where it makes it easy if you want to share it on social in the chat. But I want you to share Shop Talk with one friend and let us know in chat that you shared it. And Ben will pick one person here after I share a few takeaways from the book to give a copy of the book to, and we'll mail it to your house. We'll Amazon it today to you so you have it in the next couple of days and you can read it by the weekend. So while you're sharing and letting us know that you shared, by the way, hey, pause 1 second. Is everything working, Ben? Is tech like working and stuff? Is YouTube up? And everybody, this is like our second time to stream other places, so we'll pause real quick just to make sure like people can hear and whatnot. Tony, I never got the book I won a couple months back. Email me, Brian at Growth Tools. We'll make sure you get the book. I don't know what happened, so I don't know. If I was supposed to do it, I'm sorry. We'll make sure that gets to you. So Tony, email me, Brian at Growth Tools with the book and your address. We'll make sure that goes out. Yeah, everybody, can you hear us, Ben? We live? Everything working well? Yeah.
Tech looks good.
Okay, cool. We got a weird, at least on my end, we got a weird video lag thing going on. So I don't know. That's kind of strange. So we'll see if that, I'm not on YouTube. I'm on the Ecamm thing, but it's like weirdly laggy. So sure. That's kind of bizarre. Anyway, so that might make interaction a little odd, but we'll muster through. All right. So I want to share 2 takeaways from this book with you, and then we'll give a copy away and get into meat of the workshop. So first off is one concept this book taught that really resonated with me is how to structure teaching so people like it and do something with it. And I don't want this. The graph he had in the book was fantastic, or the concept of the graph was fantastic. But he drew it like my 4-year-old could literally draw the better version of this graph. But it's like a really amazing graph. So here's the concept he said. He said when you're I'm going to keep using book language, but again, insert sales page, blog post, webinar, any complex piece of content because you can use this methodology for it. He said most of the time, like think about teaching someone how to play a board game, or I think he used the example of chess specifically. He said we spend like 2 hours just explaining how the whole game works, explaining how kings move and how to win and how rooks work and pawns and bishops, and you go through all these rules, and it's really boring to the person learning. You spend a giant amount of time learning, and then you play, and that's the part they actually want to do. Believe it or not, they actually want to play the game. Not learn all this boring stuff. They don't even have a bucket to put it in. By the way, thanks for sharing, Michael and Stephen and Eduardo. Alex, good to see you in the chat, man. Digital Woman, thanks for sharing. Thank you. Okay, so he shares that concept, and he has this graph right here where engagement goes down the longer you're simply just learning a thing. It just gets kind of boring. So he suggested to do this instead. Instead of taking all this time to learn how to play or teach somebody how to do a thing, teach them a bit and then let them play. Like he said, if you're teaching your 6-year-old how to play chess, just get the rook out on each side and teach your 6-year-old how the rook moves forward and back, left and right. And that's it. And then just play with a rook. And then go back to learning mode. So stagger your learning and your play. You're learning and your play. You're learning and your play. You're learning and your play. So that your engagement level stays high the entire time and it doesn't dip. It may dip a little bit during learning mode, but it spikes back up pretty quickly. Might dip a little during learning mode and spikes back up immediately. So if you're writing a book, for instance, which is the immediate application of this book, is don't go, like in every chapter should have an aha moment. Something whereby just reading that, they're like, oh man, I want to recommend this to a friend. And you shouldn't go 4 chapters of teaching foundational material before you get to an aha moment. You shouldn't go 20 minutes in your webinar before you get into getting an aha moment. That's one reason that we put this book share at the beginning of Shop Talk, so that you get like a couple cool crunchy takeaways immediately that you can go do something with, instead of the 45-minute workshop that you have to get into the meat a little bit more before you get there. So we want to make sure in any kind of teaching stuff, whether it's live like this or a structured sales webinar or a book, that you intersperse your learning and your play, your teaching and your immediate thing they can take and have an aha moment from. So that was one takeaway that was really interesting. Here's the other takeaway. It's the structure, the process for creating a complex piece of content, or in this case of this book, like a book specifically. So this looks like a lot now that it's written out on the slide here, but it was a really cool concept. I'll give you kind of a quick overview, and then Ben will pick the winner, and we'll send a copy of the book too. So he suggests before you write anything, have 5 structured conversations with your best fit client for the book. And he gives you some prompts to do that. Like just if you're writing a book on how to make a webinar, I don't know, for some reason that's the example that comes to mind, or how to have a better marriage. Go have 5 specific conversations with 5 people who would be the best fit buyer of that book. Maybe your book is specifically targeted to empty nesters. You're going to talk to 5 people who are empty nesters whose marriage is declining in quality. So you're going to talk to them and ask them questions, and he gives you prompting questions for that so you can learn about them. From that, you're going to make a table of contents. From the table of contents, you're then going to go back and have 5 more structured conversations with your best fit client and run back through and it gives you a good framework for outlining your table of contents and how to write it. Then based on those 5 more structured conversations, you will then expand your table of contents. So imagine your table of contents is just your outline of the book. Go have 5 conversations, make your outline. Then go have 5 more conversations, adjust and expand your outline to this exhaustive, like very detailed table of contents. From there, you're going to finalize the scope of the book, write the first draft of it. And then I think this is the key, perhaps of the entire book outside of having the conversations before you do anything. It is test the draft. So you'll send a copy of the book, imagine in a Google Doc format, to 10 people that agree to give you feedback. And they will mark up anything in the book that they love, that's confusing, that gives them an aha moment, or any parts that feel slow to them. You'll then revise the draft based on that feedback. And I've noticed this in books since I've read this book, of where people could do this and make the book way better. One is alternate learning and playing. Alternate learning and aha moments, and make sure you intersperse your aha moments. Many books don't do that. Many webinars don't do that. Many blog posts don't do that. So that alone is a big unfair advantage. The second thing is have people mark up the ahas, the confusing parts, the love parts, and the slow parts. One specific example he gave of this as an aha moment in his first book. I should have pulled a copy of it out, but it's called The Mom Test. Fantastic book. I read it 5 years ago when it came out, and it's still an A+ book. Get it on your list, buy it on Amazon, read the thing. It's fantastic. But one thing he mentioned as an example of this was when he passed out the draft of the Mom Test, one place that was marked, one thing people loved a lot that kept getting marked up over and over again was that he would kind of give a faux conversation, like a fake conversation of how you would apply this. It would be like, me, I said this, they said this. And it would example out what he was teaching in the form of a conversation. And 10 out of 10 people marked up, I love it, more of these. So he went back through the book and interspersed these, like, I call them fake conversations, but it's really like examples of how this methodology he was teaching in the book would play out in real life. Oh, and there's dozens of them now, and it makes the material pop. He would have never had any idea of that had he not given a draft to people and they had a chance to actually mark up that they love it. There was a book I was reading the other day called Objections by, what's the fanatical prospecting guy? What's that guy's name? Ben, you remember him? Something, Jeb Blunt or something maybe? Is that his name?
Yeah, it looks like Bethany said it is.
Yeah,
Jeb.
it's
Jeb Blunt, yeah. So Jeb Blunt, he has this book called Fanatical Prospecting, it's on sales stuff, and he would like teach these methodology objection handling, but then he would like twice in the whole book did he actually line out how the call would go. Like, I said this and they said this and I rebutted with this and they rebutted with that. Like, it examples it really well. Like, he gave 2 of them and I love them, but I wish there was 100 of them in the book because it actually made the stuff concrete. So as you test the draft, what do they love? What's confusing? What's aha? What's slow? Imagine doing that in a webinar format. Like, send it to somebody and have them tell you at what moment it was they really loved it. It was confusing. It was aha moment or slow. And you go through that cycle a handful of times and you tighten it up and finalize everything. The goal of this is to make a book that is so good that everyone that buys it recommends it to a friend. Rob, the guy who wrote this book, Rob Fitzpatrick, has now written 3 books that all use this format. And all of them started just with hundreds of sales, like not many sales at all. But over the course of 5 years, he shows his Amazon sales like trajectory. All of them over time, like 3 years later, were selling, like generating $10,000 to $20,000 a month in direct Amazon sales revenue to him as a result of writing recommendable books. And so, fantastic book. That's a lot of detail on this. This is the actual methodology he teaches in the book. And I think one of the main interesting, cool insights that could be applied immediately anywhere is this idea of interspersing interspersing the teaching and the doing, the teaching and the aha moments. So the name of the book is Write Useful Books by Rob Fitzpatrick. Yeah, good question, Kyle. Okay, so let's give one copy away. We'll give one more copy away at the very end to, one person who stays on the whole time and is like engaged in asking questions and helping and stuff like that. So we'll give away one copy now to one person Ben picks for us. So Ben, why don't we'll kick back over. Y'all tell me, by the way, so for some reason, like the video stuff's laggy for me, and maybe it's just what I'm seeing. In chat, y'all let us know if the audio and video are like out of sync a little bit when we come up to big camera here. So Ben, who are we giving a copy of the book away to?
All right, our winner is Tanya Freeman.
Tanya Freeman. All right, Tanya. How does Tanya give you her address?
Go ahead and email into, let's do support@growthtools.com.
Okay.
Tanya, I'll put that in the chat. Just email like book winner to support.
Sweet.
And we'll get that to you.
By the way, Ben, as I was writing up the slides to recommend this, I was thinking about marketing and using this for mini webinar, using it for a webinar, using it for sales page. Like I think the process, you should totally skim this book, go read it. Like it's really, really good. Like obviously it teaches book, but I think it works for any complex piece of content. A really cool methodology for it.
Totally.
Awesome. So let's see, how do we get back? There we go to slides. All right. So one more thing, each week, we want to show you behind the scenes of things we're doing that have worked so that you can copy them and you don't have to do all the experimentation. So before we get into the workshop part of how to get a $25,000 client before the end of March, I want to share a test that we ran in the last week. And it's just a landing page test. Maybe Ben can give us a little color on this. It's a landing page test we ran internally. And one of them crushed the other ones. One of them did really well. The other one didn't do really well. And I want you to guess which one. In chat, let me know. Option A, option B. Which one worked really well? Ben, why don't you walk us through? This is option, for some reason we have option B first. So this is option B. Walk us through what's going on this landing page. Then we'll walk through the other option and then everybody can guess and we'll share the stats. And I want you to take away from this something you can change in your business. Maybe it's your homepage, maybe it's a landing page or a ad page that you have set up now. So Ben, option B, what's going on with this one?
Sure. So the test here was, does a simple ugly page outperform a branded page? And are we overthinking the design and spending too much time on some of the styling elements? So version B here is the simple version. And there are a headline tweak, and I think the button says something slightly different. So it's not a perfect pure A/B test, but overall the goal is, can simple beat branded? So this is our simple version. That is like literally the whole page. There's nothing to scroll to there.
So no terms and conditions. Maybe there's a little footer or something, but like literally nothing else on the page.
Right.
So how do you get to this? What's the primary traffic source?
This was primarily cold ads, or cold traffic from ads. Okay.
All right. This is option B. Walk us through this one.
Yep. So this is sort of our control. This is the branded page that we have been running. You can see the CTA is reserve my pass instead of get the free training. And then here we're sort of featuring like a new method, which we call borrow other people's audiences, or BOPA, which we were featuring in the ads. So also cold traffic from ads, but this was sort of the branded look that we had.
Sweet. All right. So in chat, option A, option B, which one do you think actually won? We need like can you do polls in YouTube or anything? Or is that like not a thing? I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen polls and comments at YouTube. We need some way to vote. All right. Stefan said, I bet the simple ugly page won. Gerald, direct headline with specific outcomes. Has video simplicity and CTA button with free. That's interesting. Christy B. Speed. What's up, Speed? Good to see you, man. Speed is maybe the all-time best Shop Talk attendee. B free says free toe. Digital Woman B. Eduardo A. I think. Sebastian B. Michelle B. Funkalistic. Option A, love your name. Option B says the success ascent. Option B, Gerald. Good. Okay. So sounds like a pretty even split. AJ, I want option A to win because that requires less work. Yes. Option Mark, option B. Interesting. Okay. So here's the winner. Michael B, Fran B. Anybody else? All right. The winner by a decent margin. What is that? Like a 40%, 35% increase is option B. The super simple linear horizontal page. The vertical one didn't perform as well. Obviously, it's not a pure test because the copy is different. So you got a page layout and copy change. But yeah, 6.39% conversion rate versus 4.99% conversion rate. Is that from click, like a visitor, to opt-in? That seems low for that for some reason. What are you measuring as conversion rate there, Ben?
Yeah, this one, and this is Instapage tracking from our landing page builder. So this is landing page visitors who opted in.
Okay. For some reason, that seems super low.
It does seem low.
Like something feels weird with those numbers. All right,
Yeah,
we'll look into that.
well,
but option B definitely won. For some reason, like it feels like it should be 40 and 60% or 20 and 30%. Like just in general, those numbers feel weird. But Tony, was it because I had a video on it? I don't think that there was an actual video. Is that just a thumbnail, Ben? That's a good question.
Totally just a thumbnail.
Yeah. So if you click that, does anything happen?
I wanted it to pop up the pop-up to opt in, but I didn't get there. So no, it's just a static image.
Yeah, cool. All right, so if you want a copy of our best performing landing pages and a link to this full funnel so you can just go through it and see it and look at it up close and see what happens and everything, make sure you're on the VIP list. We'll text it out tomorrow morning along with several other bonuses and resources and stuff we mentioned throughout. So make sure you're on the VIP list, 615-903-8108. Just text VIP if you haven't already. If you're international, email VIP to VIP@growthtools.com. We'll get you on the list. Also, before we jump in, today's show is sponsored by Growth Tools. So this is our company, growthtools.com. If you don't know who we are, welcome. My name is Brian. I'm the founder. Ben is our director of marketing. We also have Will on the line as well, who's our director of sales. And we do coaching for online businesses. We coach, most of the people we coach are people that teach things, course creators, coaches, consultants, those types, although we work with SaaS companies and e-com as well. If you want us, me and Ben and Will, to look at your business and find one unique thing that you haven't thought of before to grow your business this year, we'd love to talk to you. We'd love to set up a call, talk with you, learn about your business. There's no cost for that. Get on and tell you about our coaching, find a thing for you. Make sure you text coach to 615-903-8108, or you can email coach to coach@growthtools.com if you're international. We'll set up a time and chat, learn about you, and we'd love to help. So anyway, the show is sponsored by Growth University. That's our one-on-one coaching program. We haven't done that, but we haven't told people what we do. So I want to make sure. Actually, I had a note this week, Ben, when you talked about this, to make a commercial, like a 30-second commercial we could just inject that's kind of makes sense with the context of this. And I didn't do it. I just ran out of time. Actually, wrote a script for it. So I made this slide instead. So if you want us to coach you, if you like our style, if you like what you learned today, if you already like us because you've been here a bunch, set up a call with us. We'd love to talk to you and learn about you. If nothing else, we know who you are and we can put a face with the name in the chat. At the most, we could coach you and help you grow your business. All right, let's go to workshop time. Ben, I'm going to kill you so you're not covering up slides here. But feel free to talk. I think you're still piped in. Ben is waving. All right, so workshop today. How to get your first $25,000 coaching client by the end of March. By the end of March. Mark said, any experience with CPAs? Yeah, actually, one of my first ever coaching clients was a CPA. We've worked with several since then. And people in the financial services industry. But yeah, we've worked with several CPAs over the years. Anybody that sells high-end consulting, done for you, done with you type of services, and other ones as well, but we hyper specialize in those. Reach out, put your email in chat. Alex or Drew or Will or Ben, one of the folks here at Growth Tools will follow up with you, or you can text or email the stuff we talked about. All right, so I want to teach you how to get your first $25,000 coaching client by the end of this month. So I'm going to walk you through how to do that. I'm going to walk you through what I did. And I've actually never taught this before. We don't teach clients this. We've never taught anybody this. So I'm going to walk you through my experience and then the three major steps you need to follow in order to do this. Before we get into the details of it, I want to make sure we do this before every teaching every week. I want to make sure you understand where today's teaching fits in your business. Meaning, customers happen in your business when you follow these three steps. When you have their eyeballs, their hearts, then you can get their wallet. First, you have to attract leads. Then you have to build trust with those leads. And at that point, you can actually monetize them. You have to attract, you have to build trust, and you have to monetize. Oh, by the way, somebody in chat asked, will the coaching cost $56,000? No, you'll learn the context for this here in a second. Our primary offer is nowhere near $56,000. So you'll learn more about how these, I'm going to show you a diagram of how what I'm going to teach you today, a high-end intensive one-on-one coaching offering fits with your primary offering. So our primary offering is not that. This is a secondary offering. So we'll walk you through that. So today, what I'm going to teach you today does not generate leads. It does not build trust with those leads. It monetizes your leads. So this is a monetization mechanism. It's an offer concept and a method to sell that product to existing leads that you have trust with. If you don't have leads and trust with them, I'm going to give you some tips at the end in order to do that very quickly. So hang tight if you're in that bucket, and we'll talk about some ways to speed up the process if you're like starting from scratch. You have no audience, no product, no nothing. Still applies. You have to do one step before you do the primary part of what I'm going to teach you today. So this is a monetization strategy. Leads, trust, monetization. This is the ATM system. Attract leads, build trust, monetize them. So in chat right now, let me know the most expensive thing you've ever sold. I put coaching, but this, if you don't do coaching, it could go beyond that. What's the most expensive product that you've sold? Put in chat. Just put the price point. So for me, I think it's $60,000 is the most expensive product at Growth Tools that I've sold before. Anywhere from, I think the cheapest thing was $9.99. The most expensive thing was $60,000. Yeah. So in chat, let me know. What's the most expensive thing you've ever sold? Ben, Will, what about for you guys? Like in online business, what's the most expensive thing y'all have sold before? I'm just kind of curious to hear y'all's experience.
Sure.
I was just thinking about that. Yeah, like here at Growth Tools, I would say we had a package at one point, Brian. I think it was like around $30K.
Yeah.
With you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I brought one or two people.
Yeah.
Yeah, very similar. One or two people on with that. My wife also runs an online business, and she sells a lot of like locally grown beef, like steaks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we had like a wildly expensive, it was like $150 maybe. It was a lot, like ham that somebody bought,
Wow.
which I think is just crazy. So
How big
I would
was
say
this
that
ham? That's a gigantic ham.
that's a huge pig, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So side note, that's kind of funny, but I think 30K is, the real answer there.
Cool. How about you, Ben?
Nice. $20K a month agency package for corporate client, and but by the hour, it was $1,000 an hour for a like diagnostics ad review call.
Okay. So $20K a month as a done for you ad service, you said?
Right.
Okay. Do you sell that by the month? Is there any setup fee, or do you sell 6 months at a time, or is it $20K collected and then $20K recurring each month?
Yeah, that was the way that was just totally relationship based, no hard terms in the contract month to month.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Cool. Good to know. So we had several people in chat. Jason, 40K in the past. Fran, 1997. Erica, 5,000. Ooh, digital Warren. Is that 100K? 100K. All right. Tell us more. You got to tell us what the product is. You might be the winner of this. Sebastian, 25,000. Maurice, 11. Joanna, 1,500. Patrick Jones, 30K this week for a startup investment. Interesting. Tell us more about that. What did you invest the 30K, or someone invested 30K in you and you're kind of counting that as a sell? That would make sense. A house. Okay. You got us there, Diana. 100K or $1 million. That's good. That's good. Yeah, that's good. What is that? I can't read your name. $24,000, 20,000. Alex, 15,000 and 8,000. Amanda, 500. Michelle, 16,000, 35,000, $75. Tony, 10K. Steven, good. All right. I'm curious what Michelle's is. I think Diana. No, who was it that had the $100,000 one? Digital Woman. All right, Digital Woman. App development. Oh, okay. So service offering. That's interesting. All right. So let me start with the endpoint. This is just what's happened with me from doing what I'm going to teach you now. I just want to start it with some kind of result, and I've never taught this to clients, so there's no client results to share. This is my experience. I've taught some friends and they have done it and had some level of success, but I've never extensively taught clients. In fact, this training today that I'm teaching is going to be the foundation of a playbook we're building to actually give clients. So starting in the next couple weeks, we're going to have clients will start getting this playbook suggested to them if they meet certain criteria. So this has been my result over the last 18 months. We've had 5 people hire me for intensive one-on-one coaching. The total sales volume of that is right at $250,000 of sales. I think the average ticket price has been somewhere in the $35,000 range if you average them together, whatever 5 divided by 248 is. This opportunity is for 2 types of people. So I want you to, in your mind, slot yourself. Are you opportunity 1 or opportunity 2? So opportunity 1, it'll work the quickest for you. Opportunity 1 is someone that has a seasoned audience. This is me. Works well without a lot of prep work. You have at least 2,000 people on your email list, and you've been around for 18 months. You've been building the list for 18 months. You talk to them semi-consistently. You have a seasoned audience. If you're opportunity number 1 with a seasoned audience, this is going to be a bolt-on offer to what you sell already. So you get your primary offer. Maybe it's a membership, or maybe it's app development, or maybe it's video work, or whatever. Maybe you sell houses. That's fine. We've had all different, a CPA. So you sell CPA services. You have your primary offer. What I'm going to walk you through today is an additional offer to that. Now, I've seen in other businesses this offer I'm going to walk you through today become the main thing, actually. So like in the CPA example with Mark, I've seen CPAs go from doing the CPA services, trialing offers at least in the ballpark of this, and then retiring their CPA services or drastically dialing them down and have this become the primary offer. That's totally a path for you. Opportunity number 2 is someone who doesn't have an audience at all. You have super small audience or no audience. You love this idea. For you, I would suggest you think about this as I go through the training of it, like the Hershey Kiss business plan, which Tesla, all the Elon Musk businesses have followed this. Most people see training online for the value ladder, and you go up the ladder. The richest man in the world and potentially the most successful businessman ever to be created, Elon Musk, did the exact opposite. He started at the top of the ladder and went down the ladder. He started with the most expensive product he could possibly make in his market. That was the Tesla Roadster. Sold it for a ton. Used the profit from that to create his mid-level product. That's the Model S and the Model X. Sold a lot of those, generated way more profit. Then eventually built the Model 3 that we see everywhere now. But he didn't build that for 15 years. 15 years he was at the top of the ladder, working his way down the ladder. If I were to start over tomorrow, if my list were to blow up tomorrow, the audience were to blow up tomorrow, I totally ruined my reputation by doing something, I would start over at the very top of the market. Not with a $7.99 ebook. I'm trying to sell with Facebook ads and upsell and upsell and upsell and upsell. That's all super complicated and extremely difficult to get to work. Instead, I would start with the highest end product I could possibly fathom and sell down the market. Use the profit of that to build the team back, to build the mission back. If that is you, no audience, no seasoned audience, this is going to be your primary offer. Start here. Don't start cheaper. It's way easier to sell 3 copies of this for $25,000 over the next 12 months and make $75K. How many of you would be super pumped, especially if you're in this bucket, if over the next year you made $75,000 in your online business working about 10, 15 hours a week? You'd be really excited by that. And all you got to do is sell 3 people. If you're selling a $7.99 ebook, you get to sell thousands of copies of that to equal the same revenue. Just general rule of thumb, it's easier to sell to 3 people than 2,000 people. That's hard, really hard. And actually, you would need to sell 10,000 of them at $7.99 to equal the same revenue you would get by selling 3 of these at $25,000 or roughly thereabout. So if you're in bucket number 2, you're going to be, this will be your offer. So right now in chat, let me know bucket 1, bucket 2. Are you seasoned audience or no audience? I want to get kind of an outline because I'll stop at different places as I teach today. Maybe focus more depending on the bucket you're in. So let me know in chat. I'll be paying attention as you put in your answer. So let's get into the teaching part of how you actually do this. 3 steps to get your first $25,000 client. Part 1 is your offer. Part 2 is who you sell it to. Part 3 is how you actually do the selling. So I'm going to walk you through each of these 3 parts in order so you understand what we're selling. What's the deliverable? How do I do it? What's the thing? How does the offer work? 2, who am I targeting this for? Who's the client? Part 3, what's the physical marketing activity I do to get someone to actually pay me $25,000? So we'll walk through all 3 of those parts. I'll give you examples along the way. All right, so Kyle was bucket 2, Katie bucket 2, Gerald bucket 2, Jeff bucket 1. Jeff, you should do this immediately. Sebastian bucket 2, Matthew bucket 2, bucket 2, bucket 2, bucket 2, bucket 2, bucket 2, bucket 2. So the majority of bucket 2. That's great. So bucket 2, you got to have leads to do this. At the end, I'm going to show you a couple little tactics you can use to quickly generate the leads. So just have that in the back of your mind. Walk through this and understand what the offer is, the avatar is, and the marketing plan is, and then we can go generate leads for you. You're going to have to start with the attract bucket, get the leads, and then do the monetization. You can't go straight to the monetization because you have no one to monetize to. Okay, step 1, the offer. Let me teach you the number 1 hang up I see with people wanting to sell really high-end product. Like they hear something like this, like, well, people in my market would never pay $25,000. Just first off, you're wrong. Someone in your market is already charging 4 times that for the product. But 2, I want you to ingrain this acronym in your head, TAP. T.A.P. That stands for Training, Access, and Perks. The only difference in a $500 product and a $25,000 product. Think of this. Let's take Mark, for example, the CPA that's been in chat a couple times. Let's say Mark has a course that's $4.99 on how to do financial processes in your business so that you don't get, audited by the IRS or whatever. I don't know. The only difference in a $500 version of that and a $50,000 version of that course is A and P, is access and perks. It's the same training. You have to invent no new training But you do have to give people access and perks if you want 100x the price. So let me walk you through an example of that. Think about the Super Bowl. So on the left side here, you have how 99.99% of people watch the Super Bowl. They watch it for free at their house with friends. It costs them nothing outside of food and stuff that they buy, right? It's free to everybody. Streamed online, free on broadcast TV. That's the core content. That's the training. It's not a training product, but you get, that's the core thing. That's the T, is the actual product on the field. Now, not everybody watches the Super Bowl for free though. Like some people buy tickets in the nosebleed section of the Super Bowl, pay $3,000 just to get in the door. But think about the access and perks they have. They're watching the exact same game. In fact, the people at home probably actually see the game way better than the people in the stands. But the people in the stands paid $3,000 a person. They brought 3 people with them. They paid $10K just to get there. But they get to smell it. They get to see it with their own eyes. They get to tailgate in front of the stadium ahead of time or do whatever you do when you go to the Super Bowl, right? So they pay a lot more for access and perks because they're there. But this person's free. This person paid 10 grand. This person, there's somebody that paid $100,000 this year or drastically more to have 50-yard line box seats and to be able to go down on the sideline during the game last year when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl and see Andy Reid get dunked when the Chiefs scored and won the game. Like they paid $100,000 to be on the sideline and slap Patrick Mahomes in the butt whenever he walked out on the field, right? That's a whole nother level of access and perks. Same game that you could watch home for free, but the access and perks took it from a free product, same content, literally no difference. In fact, the free one's actually a little better. Took it from $0 to $100,000 just by focusing on adding access and perks to an existing product, right? So the $500 CPA that sells a course for $500 or $50 or $5 ebook can take the same content and turn it into a $50,000 program just by adding access and perks in it. So let me give you an example of how this actually works. This is the actual offer. I typically only take one-on-one coaching client at a time. And generally I have months out of the year where I don't. And I'll walk you through the reasons for offering a product like this in a minute. But this is the actual offer. I had somebody roll off in January. We had a new client just enroll. And through the process of doing that, several other people started talking to me. So we might wind up having 2 at the same time. But regardless, doesn't matter. This is the offer. Now, I kind of cropped and zoomed for you so you could actually read this. I'm just going to read through it. We're going to give you the template of this. I would highly encourage you to literally copy and paste this. And this is your exact offer. Now, your result is going to be different because you're probably not teaching people how to grow an online business. You might be teaching people how to like do their taxes better or have a better marriage or parent better or design better or whatever the problem is that you actually solve. And that's okay. Just swap out the endpoint. But notice the offer structure. I would encourage you to literally copy this. Don't reinvent the wheel. This works well. But notice what's different. There's some parts of the product that aren't as good. Just like going to the Super Bowl and sitting on the 50-yard line isn't as good of a viewing experience as being at home in your HD TV in your underwear or with friends eating nachos. Like, honestly, that's a way better viewing experience. It's way more efficient. It's on DVR. You can rewind and fast forward. You can't do any of that if you're there. So notice this. Notice what's happening. The deliverables are, I'm just going to read this. Or the goal is you will pass 7 figures a year in 12 months. You just have to work your butt off. The deliverables are, and by the way, I'm going to share the email to announce this in a minute, and you'll get a little more context for the offer from that, but this is the actual offer in written out form. The deliverables are, pillar number 1, a full day with Brian. Extreme access. This includes 8 hours in-person coaching, brainstorming, and strategizing with Brian, meaning we will sit down together, identify your number 1 objective in your business over the next 90 days, and create a plan to achieve it, while finding any other low-hanging fruit revenue opportunities. Pillar number 2. Yeah, take a screenshot of this. Take a picture of it, Patrick. Smart. And we'll send out a copy, like a Google Doc version of this as well. So you'll have it as well. Pillar number 2, 90-day plan. This is the output of our day together, a specific action plan for you to put into action, that's bad writing, over the next 90 days, whereby doing it, you achieve your number 1 goal in your business. For example, raising revenue by $100,000, increasing monthly lead flow by 2,000 subscribers. Pillar number 3, daily Voxer coaching. So pillar number 1, a full day with me. Pillar number 2, you're going to leave with a specific plan. Pillar number 3, daily Voxer coaching, access. This includes you and me being in a Voxer channel together for the next 90 days, meaning you'll be able to ask me questions about your business anytime. I'll even be checking in with you proactively to make sure you're making progress. You're making the progress you should be, and you aren't blocked. Pillar number 4, leadership team access, leadership team bonus. This includes full access to the Growth Tools leadership team, meaning you can talk with Bill, director of marketing, about how we run our Facebook funnel, run our email list, or talk with Will, director of sales, about phone sales, running and building the team, or hire converting scripts. So, full day with, this is the core offer. A full day with you, I literally rent out a co-working space and we just go there, and we usually have dinner the night before because that's fun. Full day with me. You leave with a plan to hit $1 million in the next 12 months. You have daily Voxer access to me. And I threw in an extra perk that we have as a company that's easy to give, which is you can talk. We'll put the leadership team in the Voxer channel as well, and you can ask specialists on our team for help in specific areas or get their feedback as they listen to our back and forth. That's the offer. Here's the pricing. This is all on one page, but I took a screenshot so you could actually see it. 3 options, 3-tier pricing. Pillar number 1, starter package, 1 full in-person meeting day together, detailed 90-day action plan, no ongoing coaching, $14,950. I don't think we've ever sold one of those, but it's a good low point anchor. Option number 2 is the pro package, 90 days of coaching, 1 full in-person meeting day, detailed 90-day action plan, guaranteed results, $29,950. Option number 1, this is the complete package, 180 days of coaching, that means Voxer access, 2 full in-person days, 1 at day 0, 1 at day 91. So you put them in the middle there. So it's really just 2 of option 2. You just do this twice is really all option 1 is. 180 days of coaching, 2 in-person meeting days, 1 at the start, 1 in the middle. Detailed 90-day action plan. Really, that should read 180 action plan. Guaranteed results, $55,950. That's the offer. Notice what we did. Full day with me, 90-day plan, Voxer access, and I threw in a bonus. You don't even have to put in pillar number 4. You can just have full day with you, you leave with a plan, and you have access to me. That makes sense? That's the offer. Will, Ben, how does that hit y'all? Any specific questions come up in chat or any confusion points as I kind of talk through that on the offer?
Do you think, Brian, that for the top tier offer, you have to just throw a bunch more stuff on there? Like, can it just be as simple as adding more time?
Yeah, because that's literally all we did.
Like,
yeah.
Oftentimes people just complicate the mess out of that top thing, and it doesn't make sense, and people settle for the middle package because of that.
Yeah, we were reviewing a new client that just came in, and they're a little more mature in business, and we're just looking at all the products they had. One, there was just a ton of them, and their highest end offering. We're looking through their sales page, and there was just like 15 bullet points of deliverables. Like it was too much to even understand. It was just too much. But I understand. I get a day with you. That's Tom Brady on the sideline, right? Slapping the button when they go on the field. I get Voxer access. That's unlimited access to just talk to you literally anytime I want. And the third one is I actually have a plan to hit the end result they want, which is to pass 7 figures this year. It's super easy to understand. The thing you're selling is the access and the perks. Make sense? Gerald said, I can't wait to have Will and Ben to use as my support team. By the way, we'll use this as a soft sales pitch. If you're interested in one day, you're just email me, Brian at Growth Tools. We'll talk. Yeah, but you know the product. You know the product. You know the price. You know the product. You know what it is. And it's honestly made for people like on Shop Talk, people that know us and trust us. Like we're not trying to sell this to cold people from scratch. Like that just is not even built to do that. Yeah. Anything to add, Ben?
You know what this reminds me of, Brian? Is the luxury vacation travel space. No one thinks that people pay $30,000 for a vacation, but they totally do. Yeah.
We had a lady on our client mastermind call yesterday who talked about that specifically. She was on a cruise. We're talking about selling really high-end products. We had a guy who, Tommy, which if Tommy's here, you should pop in chat or something. Tommy would love to get an update on how you're thinking after that call. But Tommy is hosting a retreat, and he was talking about how do I sell my high-end product to this retreat crowd, and we were working through the details of that. And who was it? I forget who commented anyway. And they said they were on a cruise recently, and they pitched them on, I think it was like a $50,000 Antarctic cruise, or maybe it was an Alaskan cruise or something. And she bought on the thing, and there was like a line of people buying it. It was crazy. I mean, I know that space none, so that just blows my mind. Honestly, I remember, I should have put a screenshot of this. I remember the first time I saw a price point for high-end coaching. It was probably 2013. Noah Kagan and AppSumo did a promotion where he sold an hour of his time for $1,000. And that literally blew my mind. I could not even fathom how a human, one, could get people to buy that, but two, who in the world would pay for that? As it turns out, a lot of people do actually. But that was a mind-expanding thing for me that I didn't even know existed in the world. And now we do that like almost every day, and it's very doable. There's a book on this that would probably be good to read if like you're challenged with these price points and you're challenged because it's hard to imagine it. It's called 80-20 Sales and Marketing by Perry Marshall. Maybe we can put a link in chat. Fantastic book on making a numerical, math, numbers-based argument for this. This being, there's always a small portion of any market that will pay 5, 10, 50, 100, 1,000 times more than everybody else. And he mathematically shows it and proves it example after example after example. The Super Bowl example is probably the easiest one to comprehend because you know people do that. People do that all the time. You watch it for free, but people pay $1 million to go. Like, why in the world? What in the world's going on with that? You want to create the same type of experience for your market. So let's go to... Here we go. Let's go back to slides. So part 1, the offer. I've just given you the offer. Copy the offer. The only thing you have to do is inject your goal at the top. What is the one gigantic milestone that they need to hit in a year? What's that? That's your goal. Just literally put that there. Everything else is the same. Okay. So who do you sell it to? We know what the offer is. Who do you sell it to? Who's the target market for it? So we think about this in terms of best fit clients. Who are the best fit clients for this kind of offer? And when you think about best fit client, this is the avatar question. We think about this on a spectrum from 0 to 10, meaning there's 3 buckets of people that you would never in a million years even remotely want in this product. For us, that would be somebody who like had never hired a coach before, was starting from scratch, and had like mega mindset problems. Like they're like almost for sure not going to buy, and 2, they're going to be a terrible client for this. Don't buy them. What you're looking for is really high level attract people for this specific product. You want people that the high end part of your customer list. Like if you've sold 500 copies of your course in the last 3 years, or 1,000 copies of your book, or 20 copies of your group coaching program, what you're looking for in that group coaching are the 3 really good people in that group. Not Betty and Karen and Michael, but you're looking for like Catherine, like the rock star in the group. That's who you want to buy. 2, they have money. You're not selling this to people who don't have money. This is a high-end luxury product. Most of you have never sold a high-end luxury product before. There are people on the list that want it. Trust me, they want it. I've sold it from almost day one, a version of this product. When the list was 1,200 people, I sold the first version of this product, and people bought. 3, they've had success. They've had measurable success towards the big milestone you want them to accomplish in a year. They actually have money. And they already are a customer of yours, ideally, or a hyper-engaged follower that's already taking action. So like we shared that slide in the very beginning, Eduardo. Listen to Shop Talk. I think it was Eduardo. I might be getting his name wrong. Anyway, we'll go with Eduardo. It was the comment on last week's YouTube video where we taught how to use a lead magnet to get 1,000 subscribers. Within 19 hours, he had 80 subscribers. That guy, probably a perfect person for one day a year. Now, I don't know if he fits the money and I don't know if he fits the high-end part of the customer list or not, but dude's had success. He's a hustler. That's what you want in this product. Because you're not going to, the goal isn't to get 30 people in this. The goal is to get 1. Like get 1 person. So you're looking for a really good fit. High-end part of your customer list, has money, has had success. That's the avatar for this product. So if you have tons of customers over the last 10 years you've been selling your product, or 3 years you've been selling your product, that's the place to look first. They got money, they've had success, and they like you. That's what you're looking for. All right, let's talk about actually selling it. So we know the offer. We know the segment of people, at least a loose idea of who they are. Let's talk about how to actually sell the thing. So 4-step marketing plan to sell this. Step 1 is to make a one-on-one outreach list. Literally, I want to sniper in on who are the 12, 13, 14, 20 people that are like, they email me like all the time. They're always... Well, anyway, so step 1, make a one-on-one outreach list. Step 2, email each person on the outreach list. Step 3, have a 30-minute discovery call with each of them. Step 4, send them a custom quote and close them. Let's walk through each step in detail. So step 1, make a one-on-one outreach list. A couple buckets you could think within. We've already talked about customers, your high-end customers, the people that are doing things. They've had success from what you've helped them with or taught them with in the past. Your case studies. The people that you look over your customer list and you're like, I like them, they've had success, and maybe I've already written or want to write a case study on them. Like, look for those people. Second, look for past customers of the product right below this. Meaning, let's say you sell a course in a group coaching program. Look at the people that have been in your group coaching program before. Look at people that maybe have asked for one-on-one coaching with you before. If you have a seasoned audience, you probably have those people already. If you don't have an audience, we're going to talk about how to generate the audience here in a minute. Like generate it within 3 to 4 months. You can have a group of people who are starting to be qualified for this product. So this is literally, I did this exercise a month ago as we had a space fill up, as we had a space empty in one day, and we call this product 1 day a year for us. As we had a space empty, I literally went through a client hit list. I asked our coaching team, like, who are like the people that are the most engaged getting results right now. They made a list for them. I blurred them out because that would be weird to share their names, but they're on this list. Second is an interview hit list, meaning on Shop Talk every week I interview people. I was like, well, they might be good. They've had success. It's a case study. They're almost always clients of ours, so maybe them. So I made a list of them, and I made a list of a handful of other people that we've kind of been in our orbit for a while that would be good. So I just literally made a list with their email addresses. Step 2, I emailed each person on that list. I didn't broadcast this out to the big list. I didn't do any of that. I just went to individual emails in my Gmail account and emailed each one of these people. And this is the email that I sent. I've cut it up into 2 parts so you can actually read it. So this is part 1 here. Subject line, are you a fit? I'll just skim this, read it, so you can kind of understand the basic gist here. And this will frame up how we talk about the product publicly to people, so you kind of get the offer a little bit better. There are 2 big milestones for coaches, course creators, and consultants. Milestone 1, 6 figures per year. Milestone 2, 7 figures per year. And just like raising a toddler is different than raising a teenager, growing a business to $1 million a year requires doing different things than starting it. That's why a few times a year I take one business owner under my wing and help them achieve that 7-figure milestone. Are you interested? Here's how it'll work. We'll meet in person for a full day in Franklin, Tennessee. We spend the entire day together workshopping your sales and marketing. You leave with a specific 90-day action plan to increase revenue by 25%. Then we touch base daily and make it nearly impossible for you to miss the goal. My most recent client, Michael Hyatt, reported their single best month of sales as a direct result of our coaching. Most businesses are related to grow by 25% in a year. Our goal is to rocket past that in 90 days. And here's the second part of the email. Introducing One Day Year, my high-end one-on-one coaching program for business owners looking to go from 6 figures to 7 figures immediately. So I'm categorizing. This is for people not, like if you're at $60,000 a year, this isn't for you. Like this is literally for people going from 6 figures already to 7 figures, which is the step above at least the primary targeted segment for our primary coaching offering, Growth University. We help people in the $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $600,000 range. We've had clients in the $900,000 range. But typically, their desires start changing as they get close to that $1 million mark. So this offer is specifically targeted on the high-end part of the customer list. This program allows you to get direct, unfiltered access to me. Access and perks, remember? Criteria, you must have over $100K a year in revenue. You must be available 10 hours a week to work the plan. You must be willing to communicate with me daily. And you must have coaching, course, or service businesses. I'm taking one new client right now. Are you interested? That's literally the email I sent to these 15, 20 people, however many people it was on that total list. Now, email this list. People respond. This, by the way, I mentioned Michael Hyatt because we literally just got a case study video from him like 3 weeks ago. So no prior person has seen the Michael Hyatt name attached to this. There's no magic. I mean, there's hopefully will be magic to using it going forward, but we've never used that in of the 5 or 6. I think we've sold 6 people in the last 18 months. None of those even saw Michael Hyatt's name because we didn't have permission to share it. Now we have permission, so we're sharing it going forward for sure. But that wasn't a factor in previous conversions. So when people respond, I'm interested. I ask them the 3 questions because what I don't want to do is have to get on phone calls with like 10 or 12 people to talk about this without any level of filtering at all. Because I want to judge their basic interest level by digging a little deeper via email. So I send this email out, and anybody that responds, I ask them these 3 questions. What about directly working with me piqued your interest? What would success look like for you over the next 90 days? And are you able to travel to Nashville? And I want them to go in depth on those questions. And sometimes I'll even ask a handful of follow-up questions to understand, like, all right, now let's do step number 3, which is let's have a 30-minute call. Let's if we haven't talked before, some of these people we've talked before because they've been in kind of orbit for a while. But I want to talk with them because I want to, one, make sure they're not a weirdo. I don't want to have to spend a day with a weirdo. That'd be odd. So I want to make sure we actually get along and we fit well. So we'll have a 30-minute discovery call with each person. That discovery call follows this 4-question sales script that we taught a few weeks ago on Shop Talk. So instead of going back through that whole thing, we'll include in the resources we send tomorrow the training on the sales script. But all the sales script is asking 4 questions on the phone. What do you want? What's the hard part? What do you have already? And do you want me to help you? So the training we'll send you. I don't want to do a whole sales script training here, but this training, and you actually don't try to close the sale. I never try to close the sale on the phone for this particular product. Instead, I ask these 4 questions, fully understand where they're at, make sure they want help, and then I do step number 4, which is I send them a quote and close them on email. So here's an example. I had a call. This is just February the 11th. So this is like a month or so ago. Great call. This is literally as soon as the call ended, great call. I was able to get everything written up by my 3 p.m. meeting. Woohoo, here are the details. And I link them to a Loom video. And the Loom video simply talks them through the proposal. And then the proposal is just the offer that I've already shown you. It's literally a Google Doc with that. One tweak I make when I'm sending it out is instead of having this generic goal at the top, I put 3 or 4 bullet points here saying back to them what they've told me they wanted. So I contextualize this goal to the person who's doing the buying. That's the only thing everything else, the deliverables, the pricing, it's all the same. And they get to pick which package they want at that point. Does that make sense? Bill or Ben, Will, y'all tracking on that?
Yeah, I love you did a whole episode of the 4-question sales script, but I think it's really important from a sales side to know who your customer is. This is not an on-call, pushy close, right? This is not how the relationship is. The sales process should be the same way, right? So know who your customer is. Don't collect $50K just on a call. Make sure you have your ducks in a row and they're a great fit. Because if you're actually interested in knowing that they are the right fit, just like you walked them through, Brian, you were very intentional about believing that they were the right fit and having them sell you on them being the right fit. The buy-in level is going to be really high enough to where you can close over email. That's great.
And we've had, I actually didn't think about putting this in the training. We should put it in the playbook for clients. If you have an active sales team, letting them know this offer exists. So when they talk to someone who's in that high-end market, we've sold probably 3 or 4 people into this, not from one-on-one outreach, but from us having a really good lead come into the sales team and then peeling them off to the side, talking about this offer, and then sending them over to me to run the rest of this process on. So if you have that, that's easy. That's easily a thing you can add into the mix. Cool. All right. So let's jump in, finish out training. So a couple tips to end with here. Another thing you can do after you made that one-on-one hit list is to email your entire audience with your one-on-one intensive offer with a one spot available hook. Meaning the vast majority of people that get that email won't be qualified at all. And that's fine. You can sell them your other product, your primary product. But what you will find, especially if you have a list, again, of over 1,000 to 2,000 people, you will have a handful of people, a couple dozen usually, be very interested in this. Good question in chat. I'll stop and answer real quick. Mixed Media Pro said, do you offer a payment plan? How is that structured? Yeah. So there's 2 things we've done, full pay, or you can pay half up front, and that takes you through our day together. And then the rest of it's due right after our day together. And that de-risk me spending a bunch of time with you and doing the rest. A third option, actually I'm exploring this right now, is offering financing. You can do that through third-party financing companies to distribute this over a year or 2 to make the payment smaller, but you get paid up front for it. So that's the third option. I've actually never done that before, but we're exploring that right now as a potential option for this. Because we've had quite a few people that I would love to work with that would work well in the program, but paying $14K or $29K or $55K was too much for them at the moment. So that's an interesting option as well. Haven't done that, but that would work as well. Tip number 2. This is for everybody in bucket number 2. If you don't have a seasoned audience, this is how you get a seasoned audience really quickly. Do 1 lead magnet swap or podcast tour. Do 1 full tour, meaning you take your lead magnet, which we talked about last week, trained in detail, or you take your podcast, which we trained about a few weeks ago. We'll send you links to both of those in the follow-up tomorrow morning so you can actually go through those trainings. You do 1 tour, meaning you take your lead magnet or your story on tour to 20 different audiences. Within 3 to 5 months, you can have a seasoned list of a couple thousand people. It's totally possible. We see it done almost every day. That's the way to jumpstart it. And then you add this on as your primary offer. So when you're on the podcast, you tell them I do one-on-one coaching with people, and this is how it works. I do a day with them. We do Voxer access, and at the end of the day, they have a detailed plan of how to get to 7 figures a year, or a detailed plan of how to cut their tax liability by 50%, or a detailed plan on how to be the best parent they could possibly imagine, whatever your end result is. Do the podcast tour on the tour, on the lead magnet tour, the podcast tour, you mention your offer over and over and over again in front of audiences of 500, 1,000, 20,000. When you get in front of a podcast or you get in front of a lead magnet swap, you just start doing it from the start. And it is very reasonable to be on the tour itself and have someone actually buy the high-end one-on-one intensive product. That's why it's one of your best initial offerings you could have if you're starting from scratch. And if you don't have leads, take that lead magnet swap or your story on tour, and while you're on tour with that, mention that high-end offer, and you can sell one, and you can build a ton of subscribers in the process of that. So let's wrap things up with the workshop part. If you want the offer template, the emails, the sales script, and the examples, make sure you're on the VIP list. We're going to send all these Google Docs out. We'll send the sales script training, the podcast tour training, the lead magnet tour training tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Text VIP to 615-903-8108. We'll get all those out to you. Coming up in a minute, we're going to talk to Marnie Ginsberg, who is a client of ours of Growth University. Not of One Day Year, although Marnie, let's talk. She runs a site called readingsimplified.com. She helps teachers teach reading more effectively to children, and she sells a monthly membership called Reading Simplified Academy. She's a coach client of ours. She recently ran a 5-day challenge to her audience that generated $50,000 in sales for her membership. Really cool result. Really cool marketing thing. We're going to interview her, and she's going to share all the details with us. Share us how she did it, what the concept was, what the emails were, how it converted to sales, the whole deal. So stay on. In about 10 minutes, we're going to have Marnie on and talk to her. Before we get to that, I want to share a few. I love doing this every week, sharing recommendations. I don't know any of y'all that are into the Enneagram, but I'm a 5 on the Enneagram, which means I just like learning stuff and annoying people by sharing it. So Bethany, who's here with us, like I text her about random Bible stuff I'm learning all the time, or Ben or Will. I love UFO stuff. For some reason, it's like an interesting topic to me, so I'm always texting them links to weird stuff. So we're not going to talk about UFOs today, but I'm going to share a few things I found that are interesting to me over the last week that potentially are fun to you too. So the first thing I'm going to share is a direct marketing sales letter, I guess, that I got in the mail last week. I'm going to show you a picture of that and kind of walk you through why I liked it. I shared it with Ben, director of marketing, a while ago, or a week or so ago, and we've been trying to figure out how to adopt it for us. And then 2 other things. So number 1 is this letter. So this is I guess it's technically, they mailed this to me. On the back was the postage, but this is folded. It wasn't folded in my mail, which I thought was actually interesting. So when I got it, I didn't even have to open a letter. It's literally, I got it and I'm looking at the thing. I zoomed in on it so you could actually read it. This is what it said. Certifiedtree.net. Love the .net. That's great. Good afternoon. My company's larger crew will be doing tree work in your neighborhood in the next week or so. If you have a large tree or multiple trees you need removed, pruned, and need cleaning work done, now would be a great time to save on a large tree care project or larger tree care project. We have certified arborists on staff. Call for a free estimate. Call us at 615-551-1609 and then a name and a signature. I thought this was really good. This is like, I love local marketing. If you're on Shop Talk last week, we had Chris Jones, who does real estate coaching, and he shared like a bunch of really cool tactics to sell houses that you could totally adopt to online, non-local sales-based stuff as well. Yeah, Mark, I said Bible stuff. If you want to be on my crazy Bible story share list of random ideas I have, feel free to let me know. I'll share that with you. Jeff, good to be here. Thanks for being here, man.
Brian will text you at 9 a.m. about some wild stuff in Ezekiel if you're on the list.
I texted the leadership team this morning, which I really don't ever talk about Bible stuff in business. I don't know if it's good or bad, but I tend to separate the things. But anyway, I texted the leadership team this morning about an interesting random Bible topic I read. Anyhow, okay, so this is the sales letter. I think it's really smart. It's really good for local businesses, but I think it could be adopted for non-local businesses as well. But there's a reason. I think the key is here, they give a reason to send the letter. And the reason for them is they're going to be in your area. It's an interesting reason. And then they give you a very clear CTA. If you'd like an estimate, call us at this number. Really clear. I just thought it was simple marketing done effectively. And I would love to make a campaign for us built on this. Like, what's the reason? Now, we're not going to be in your area. Like, we don't have the local concept. There's got to be something we can adopt from this and modify it for us. In fact, if you have a really good idea of how we could adopt this at Growth Tools, put it in chat. We'll send you a book if it's something that we love and wind up using. Send you a copy of the book we mentioned in the beginning, right? Useful books. Okay, so that's share number 1. Share number 2, totally unrelated. A really good TV show we're watching. Last week I shared the TV show 1883. This week we started watching this Netflix show called Inventing Anna, and it is awesome. It's a story about, we're only like 2 episodes in, so nobody spoil it because I don't know what the ending is. I think it's based on a true story, if I heard that right. It's this lady who I think grew up super poor. It's the chick from Ozark, the curly-headed blonde lady. I don't know her name, but she has like a German accent in this one. It's fantastic. Although I can't remove from my head the drastic Southern drawl in Ozark. It's hard to like merge the two together. Anyway, really good show. It's about this lady who grew up super poor and basically like infiltrated the elite of the elite socialite status in New York. In the first episode, she gets caught and arrested, and it's like her whole story. That's really, really good. Yeah. Michelle agreed. I'd love to be on your random Bible list. All right. Brian almost looks red in the face there. Did I? I mean, I'll share all kinds of stuff, probably too much. So I received that letter here in Hawaii. Same exact letter. No way. Did you? Seriously?
Wow.
That's awesome. I guarantee you there's some like how to grow your tree care company that's a course that gives the letter and people can copy and paste it. Conversations with JV. Email me, Brian at Growth Tools, with a picture of it. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see what's different because it's got to be a different company, right? Maybe not. Maybe they're like a lead farming service or something. That's interesting. Yeah.
Hey, Brian.
Yep. I was reading back through chat.
Have you watched Pieces of Her on Netflix yet?
Have not. Good?
Oh, it's a great thriller. It's only one season, which is
Okay.
nice because you don't have to commit to a
Mhm.
whole like 6 season thing. That's a total worth watching. In fact, you and I will be following the same path. I watched Inventing Anna. We binged it in like a week and
Yeah.
then watched Pieces of Her. So
Is that the one? I think it's number one on Netflix right now. Pieces of Her. Is that right?
probably so.
Pretty
Yeah,
sure.
that's
We
why I
watched the
haven't
trailer
found it.
last night. Stacy actually wanted to watch it, and we kept hearing stuff about Inventing Anna, so we started it, but we'll get through it. That's right. Now I have to pick up Pieces of Her afterwards. All right, one last recommendation. This is hyper local, but this is the first time in a long time that I've had an 11-star experience with a product. Me and my wife and a couple friend of ours went to this restaurant in Nashville called House of Cards, and it was the single best restaurant experience I've ever had. It was awesome. So if you're ever here, go to it. You get to reserve it 2 or 3 months out. So I would plan a trip around going to this place. If it was in Birmingham or Atlanta or Charleston or even San Francisco, ways away from us, like I would plan a trip around going to this place. Um, Two things I'll share. One was to get to it, you had to go through, this is the most Nashville thing ever, the Johnny Cash Museum, which is a little strip mall kind of thing right off the main Broadway area. And you walk in and you're kind of like, everything's closed. You're like, where do we go? And there's a guy in a suit over by a closet. He's like, are you here for House of Cards? You're like, yes. And he types a code into the broom closet, like lock knob, opens it, and you walk down these stairs into a utility closet. And then there's another person down there that opens that like utility looking room, and you walk into this speakeasy restaurant thing. It's super cool entrance. And then the second, so just the ambiance, the whole thing was just so cool. The second part is their whole shtick is they have magicians there. So they have a super small theater that's really well done, that there's an awesome magic show in. And then they have these little booths around the restaurant that, I mean, while you're waiting on your food or after you eat, you can kind of just go around and they're doing really close up magic. And it's the best magic I've ever seen. Like, it completely blew me away. There's a show on Hulu called In and of Itself. Highly recommend it. It's about magic. Like, it's that level stuff. It is like elite of the elite level magic up close in person at this really cool speakeasy restaurant. The whole point of that is, one, go to it if you're ever in Nashville, plan a trip around it if you're anywhere remotely near Nashville. 3 is I've recommended this to so many people. I mean, I'm recommending it now to several hundred of you that are live and 1,000 plus people that will watch this after the fact. Dozens of people will go as a result of me talking about it. That's what an 11-star product is. That's what I aspire to be able to make all of our products into, is 11-star products that people experience one time for 4 hours. We were there for 4 hours at a restaurant, which is super atypical for us. And they just rave and tell, they can't help but tell people about it. That's what an 11-star product is. And every time I encounter one, I like telling the stories of it because it's a reminder to me how cool they are and how they're hard. They're hard to make. I talked to the lady that cuts my hair at lunchtime today, and I told her about it. And she's like, yeah, we went there when they opened and it kind of sucked. Like, it wasn't an 11-star product 3 years ago. Now it is. Now it is elite of the elite. Super cool place. Highly recommend. Sounds like the Magic Castle in Hollywood. Oh, yeah. So several people here. I think Magic Castle is the place where all the magicians are. All their magicians come from there. Like one of the guys in the theater was like the main guy, one of the main people at Magic Castle that's there. I think they rotate source people through that. So it's really, really, really cool. Michelle, in a completely different vein, The Last Kingdom season 5 is out. We've not watched that. I actually don't know anything about it at all. Jason, thanks for being here, man. All right. So, we're about to interview Marnie, learn how she did her challenge. If you want me to look at your business and give you one unique thing you can do to double revenue in 2022, I'd love to do that. Me and my team take calls. We take dozens of calls every day from people just like you and strategize on their business for them. And that's of no cost at all. While we're there, we'll tell you about our coaching program as well to see if it's a good fit for you. If you'd like to do that, let us know in chat or text coach to 615-903-8108. You can also email, if you're international, coach to coaching@growth-tools, and we'll respond, learn about you, set up a call, chat with you, go deep. The one thing that's really frustrating about online business is doing it by yourself. You're so close to the Mona Lisa, you can't even see the thing. You get lost in the forest for the trees. We are able, since we've grown our business ourselves, we're on the Inc. 5000 list and have almost a dozen clients on it as well. We've coached thousands of people. We've seen almost every situation. So yours is a unique situation. We're able to provide you clarity and insight that you might not be able to get otherwise, or it might take you several years to get there. Just from the free call. We've had a lot of people grow their businesses just from the strategy call itself, much less the detailed coaching that we'll do with you. So I'd love to talk with you. I'd love to set up a time with you and chat. Text coach to 615-903-8108 or email in coach to coach@growthtools.com, and we'll do that. All right. I want to introduce you to Marnie. Do we have Marnie? I don't see Marnie in green room. Is Marnie here? Will, Ben, how are we doing on Marnie? I'll kick over here.
Let's see.
We're going to interview Marnie, but we don't have Marnie.
An email.
What's that? All right. Maurice said, I'll be in Nashville in 3 weeks on Thursday, March 31st. I have an open day. This is perfect to consider getting direct coaching with Brian. If you're interested in the details, text me. Ooh, yeah. Maurice, hey, send me an email, Maurice. Since we're in Shop Talk, it's hard to process. I don't have your email. Email me, brian@growthtools.com. I'll literally email you today. Chat back and forth. See if it works. You know the offer. You know how it works. We go into detail. So you get the gist. Above a sample copy on how you might incorporate the first strategy. Interesting. I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about there. Cool. All right. Ben, Will, Bethany, anybody heard from Marnie? If not, we'll skip on, and we've got a couple other things I want to go over today, kind of share as we leave. So if we need to kick her to next week, that's fine. Anybody heard from her?
Cool. Yeah, sure. Replied half an hour ago, but if she's not here, she should be. So
we can come back.
I'll just follow up with her.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Kind of keep us in the loop when you hear from her. All right, so let's do this. I need your advice. So I've been sharing things that have worked for me, landing pages, book recommendations, sales letter sample, walked you through a workshop on how to sell a very high-end one-on-one coaching product. I want your advice now. I want to pick your marketing brain, and Will, Ben, Bethany, y'all feel free to chime in. Anybody in chat, feel free to chime in. We'll pick one person that gives us a practical tip to send one more copy of this book to you, Write Useful Books. If you weren't here in the beginning, I gave you a detailed walkthrough of this, and it's a fantastic book. You could use it to make a webinar, sales pages, long-form blog post, or write books. But I'd like to pick your brain. Anybody here that has ideas or has done this before? We have people that schedule sales calls with us for our coaching program. Depending on how you count the numbers, 60% of people actually show up to the call, meaning 40% of people that schedule calls with us don't show up to the call. They'll either reschedule or we call them and they don't answer, or some variation of that. If your single goal in life over the next 90 days was to do nothing but raise that from 60% to 90%, how would you do it? What is a practical, mechanical strategy that you would put in place if you're the director of marketing at Growth Tools in order to get more people to show up to sales calls? These are people that come to a forum. Put it in chat. Let me know. These are people that come to a forum, see information about our coaching, say, yes, I want to schedule the call. They enter their information. They even say on the forum, like, yeah, I'll be at the call. We then send them text messages and emails, reminders. We even, for some people, have somebody call them to confirm the call. And then we have this, and the salesperson at the time of the call actually calls them. And with all of that in place, we get about 60% of people to actually answer the phone when we call. So Ben, Will, anybody in chat would love ideas on things we could do to increase that.
Sweet. All right. So it looks like Gerald's saying testimonials. Definitely testimonials.
Have them warmed up first with lots of testimonials and videos of you sharing wisdom so they're already sold on you before the sales call. That's good. Oh, by the way, we have Marnie joining, so we'll finish this up and bring Marnie on here in a second. Marnie, I'm gonna keep you muted, and we'll
deposit for the call. Digital Woman says charge $50 and refund when they show up. That's an interesting one.
That is interesting. Charge for that. Yeah.
I love that idea.
Yeah, a way to incentivize simple gift. Yeah, we've
speaking of,
I've pushed back against the use a lead magnet to get them on the call thing before. Ethical bribe. Speed says. Have 3 pre-call emails page set up to get them warmed up before the call with your specific training and lots of testimonials on the pages. I like the super intentional path. We do like emails and text messages, but I could see there being a perhaps better articulated path for that. Mm-hmm. Free gift for coaching, for coming on time.
Okay. You can incentivize the show. We've done a little bit of that before.
Mm-hmm. Whitley Safety said, for $25,000, I'll jump on a call and tell you. I like that. I like that.
That's awesome.
Hey, I'll tell you this, Whitley. If you can guarantee you'll increase show up rates from 60% to 90%, I'll pay you $25,000 right now.
I'll throw in for that.
Yeah. Because here's like just high level. Just we'll kick over to slides here in a minute, and Marnie, we'll start here in a second. A business owner thinks in ROI. A entrepreneur thinks in cost. So in ROI, moving our show up rate from 60% to 90%, the ROI on that is 10 times that in the first 30 days. Is hundreds of thousands of dollars in the first month. I would gladly pay that. Now, I don't know you from anybody. I don't know if you know what you're talking about. So like you'd have to build trust with me to get me to pay that offer. Unless you said, hey, Brian, we'll spend a day together. Here's my qualifications. And if you don't get it, I'll give your money back. All you got to do is just do what we say. Like implement the strategies we talk about. Great. I would buy that offer in a heartbeat. So think about that when you're selling to people and when you're making decisions. You have business owner who thinks in ROI, the money I spent. It's like I would give you $100,000 a day if I was guaranteed to make $1 million. I wouldn't even hesitate. And especially if you have safety devices on it to make sure that if I don't get what you say, I get my money back. The other hat is a consumer hat where it's like I'm shopping for blenders and all I'm doing at Walmart is looking at the 4 different blenders that all look exactly identical and trying to find the cheapest one. That's a consumer. And any good business owner thinks with their business hat, ROI hat on, not their consumer hat. Do it on a commission basis? Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, what else? What else we got here? Show up advice. How about a chance that Brian will take the call? That's interesting. That winds up probably creating some objections around people that don't get it, feel let down, and you don't even have that dynamic otherwise. As you just did it, you will give one thing that'll help you grow your business on the call. Yeah, we do that now. We could probably freshly emphasize that. Request a deposit. The deposit thing's kind of interesting. I don't know. Like that's an interesting... But to do that, you almost have to walk them through a sales process. Like you're honestly selling an entry-level product. You're making the call itself a product, which, I mean, Ben and Will, we could run a promotion and probably sell a couple hundred of those. And you would have very high, it wouldn't be 100%, because even with that, like people still, although we've never sold the sales call as a product. But you could do it. I mean, especially if it's a refundable deposit kind of thing. I got to do is go show up.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Speed's comment is interesting. He says there's some studies that show that people feel less guilty about not showing up when they've paid for it. So show up rate actually goes down, which is really unexpected.
Interesting.
That is really interesting.
I still
Speed
would be
is
up for
always
trying
bringing the
it.
heat.
Like that's an interesting thing because it's not in that scenario. It's not just about show up rates either. It's about the quality of person you have. Because somebody that's paid you money is exponentially higher, like way higher chance to buy than someone that doesn't. Like we've sold the swipe file on Black Friday; those people close way higher. We've sold like the accelerators in the past; those people close at way higher rates. And if you're paying for the call, maybe is the simplest possible version of that.
Well, and to that point, there's a lot of people that might undervalue that are a best fit customer of ours that say, if you're charging $50 for an hour, like I don't really care to work with that potentially, depending on how you market it.
Yeah, that's interesting. All right.
I'm not against that though. I like that idea.
I think it's worth a campaign. You'd have to frame up what the call is in a compelling way or yeah, I don't know.
You might be able to do a bit of like tie in the done for you in there too, assuming the sales team would be ready for that. Like, hey, we'll find 2 potential partners for you, or we'll strip down your homepage or something like that for the call that adds a little bit more of a zhuzh to it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. All right, a couple comments, and we're going to kick to Marnie and learn how she did a challenge that brought in 50K. Stephanie, so pay people money if they don't show up. Oh, that's the opposite of speed. That might do the opposite. The people who will pay probably will convert better. Yeah, totally. Digital Woman. We need your name, Digital Woman. It feels weird calling you Digital Woman.
Digital Woman.
Whitley. So this is going back to the pay me $25K, and I'll tell you some results in advance. What materials do you have in place that address the prospect's belief that they themselves can trust themselves to get results? I don't know how to answer that question. Nina, use the what's 30 minutes of your time worth and drive home testimonials, especially if you have any about the tip that you gave on the intro to call. That's actually interesting because maybe we have the hook for the call already. If you were to sell it, it is, we'll give you one thing you can use to grow your business or you get your money back. And you like sell it as a product. I could see something there. There feels like a grain there to pull on a little bit. You build it around the one small hinge that swings big door in your specific business. But the needle you have to thread too is the point of the call isn't just to get that, but they have to be completely aware at the point of paying that deposit or paying the $25 for the call that we also are going to, if they're a fit, invite them into our coaching as well. Like that can't be a surprise, I don't think. Let them know exactly what's going to happen on the call. There are no surprises hanging in the back of their mind. That's good. Like paint that picture clearly. Kyle, that study is in The Neck Economics by Charles Whelan. Interesting. If they filled out something to apply for the call, you could use language like, we've already brainstormed 3 tactics you can implement. We'll let you know on the call. Ooh, that's interesting. Hey, we've been looking over your business based on the stuff you submitted, and we got a couple things for you that I'm really excited to go over. And you could even tease them with one of them. Like, that's kind of cool. And you could probably streamline workflow that where it's doable.
Yeah, we could work through that with Drew too. Our SD, we have a sales development representative who tries to confirm calls leading up to them, and Drew could totally work that into a script. I like that idea.
That's probably my favorite idea so far. I like that. That's really good. Mark, how about an agreement with your payment taken from their results? Yeah, that's like a totally different business model that has, it's really hard to sell to, like we sell to a decently wide spectrum of client. Everyone like in the entrepreneur bucket with 0 list, 0 product, never done a business before, all the way up to people that are doing $1 million a year into the Michael Hyatt range where they're doing, 8 figures plus a year. That works well for those people. But for beginners, the business risk is extreme. But it's interesting. Yeah. But I don't know if that shows up. I don't know if that really solves show up problems. That's kind of a different business model completely. Maybe driving further the guilt of being late. Yeah, I like that. I've done some revisions in the past. I've literally threatened an email in a playful way that I'm going to come find you in Hershey if you don't show up. In fact, every revision round we've made, I've injected that stuff back into it of like, say you'll be there, or I'm going to hunt you down. If you don't come, I'm going to blacklist you in a playful way, but letting them know that it's very important to show up. Please show up. We pick 1 caller a week and promote the business. Robbie said, Mark, you take the first dollars of the result. Conversations with JV. I don't feel that 60% is a bad thing. It's a filter. Yeah, totally. 60% isn't terrible. I think it can be higher. I'm looking for little strategies to do that. Publicly sharing the list of everybody that was late. Yes. We'll buy the domain theystoodmeup.com and just like publish everybody's email address that's scheduled to call. Any phone sales company can just like get that list and blacklist you from booking a call. That's amazing. Oh my goodness. We would never do that, but that's an amazing idea. All right, one last, Patrick. I agree with you. I've been on the call, or Speed. I agree with you. I've been on calls where they asked to wire them $100 commitment fee or deposit. I think it's fair enough if you're truly interested in the offer. Yeah, that's good. Cool. All right. So there was the one about actually find 3 things for them and tell them you found a couple things and maybe tease one. That's probably my favorite out of that list. Do y'all remember who that was? Is it Jason? Yeah, Jason. Jason Croft. So Jason Croft, email support@growthtools.com with your address. We'll Amazon you out a copy of this Write Useful Books book the next day or 2, so you have it. And whoever it was that said you won a book a couple weeks ago and didn't get it, like make sure you email us. We want to make sure you get the book. I don't just fell through the cracks there. I know I have one from 2 weeks ago that I haven't sent out yet that I got tasked with, which is always dangerous. Anyway, all right. So Marnie, are you here with us? I'm going to make sure Marnie's here before we actually kick her on. Let's go over to, I think we're ready to talk to Marnie if we can get Marnie on and video on and audio on and stuff. So Marnie, if you're there, turn your video on and your audio on, and we'll kick you to interview and learn how you generate $50,000 in sales from your challenge. In the meantime, while we wait for Marnie to turn her video on, let's tease next week. So next week, I'm going to share, I've never shared this topic before at all, and we got Marnie video. So Marnie, you're going to come on in just a second. We're going to talk about this. This is kind of an abnormal topic. This isn't marketing related, but it is very applicable to anybody running an online business. Our accountant, our CPA, found a really interesting tax law that we didn't know about at all. And we're getting a lot of money back from the last 3 years from taking advantage of this tax law. So next week, the title of our workshop is How to Get $50,000 or More from the IRS from an Obscure Online Business Tax Law. I'm going to walk you through the details of that, even give you recommendations to a handful of CPAs and accountants you can talk to do this for you. I'm not giving accounting advice. I'm sharing what we've done and pointing you in some directions that you could explore the same thing. This is a playbook we're making for clients. A good chunk of our clients qualify for this, so we're going to make the playbook out of this training we do next week and share it with clients of ours and give the details of how to do every step of that. And next week, you're going to be your crash test dummies, where I share what we've done and then give you a handful of things to do that. So if you aren't already, be sure to get on the VIP list for Shop Talk. Text VIP to 615-903-8108. At the very least, we'll send you reminders ahead of time before the training so you can come to it, and we'll send you recordings and resources afterwards so you just don't miss anything at all. If you're international, just email VIP to VIP@growthtools, and we'll send that via email because sometimes international text stuff is really weird and doesn't go through. All right. Without further ado, Miss Marnie, I'm going to bring you on video here, and we're going to learn how. Oh, there we go. How do I do this? Nope. How do we do both of us? There we go. All right. Now I got you. Marnie, welcome in. Say something to make sure I actually get your audio here.
Can you hear me?
There we go. Gotcha. Awesome. So let me give a quick intro to you, Marnie, and then I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions just to learn from you how you got 204 new members from your 5-day challenge. So Marnie Ginsberg. Marnie's a client of ours. She runs a site called readingsimplified.com. She helps teachers teach reading more effectively to their children. She sells a membership program called the Reading Simplified Academy. The goal of the interview today is to deconstruct what Marnie did so you can learn and do the same thing. So Marnie, before we get out into the details of the marketing campaign that you ran, give us kind of a high-level overview of the business. If somebody asked you, what problem do you solve, how would you answer that?
Helping overwhelmed teachers who don't really know how to teach reading to every single child, how to do it in an efficient way that also accelerates every single child in their classroom.
Yeah. Do you have a specific grade of teacher? Is it just any teacher, high school teachers, elementary teachers?
The bulk of our audience would be K through 2,
okay.
But it is an approach that works for any beginning or struggling reader. So a lot of, unfortunately, middle school and high school teachers have kids that are still not reading well, and they need to go back to the basics and solve that underlying problem about word recognition that is very frequently poorly done in most English-speaking countries.
Yeah.
So we have K through 12, and some people even work with adults, but the bulk of our audience are early elementary teachers or tutors or specialists.
Yeah. And the product is a membership. Walk us through the components of the membership. Like, what are the deliverables I get?
The main part. Yeah, the main part is a main course that's about 8 to 10 hours of video training, learning the Reading Simplified system. And along the way, you get over 1,000 pages of differentiated student materials for kindergarten through 5th grade reading levels. You also get daily, or as much as you want, online support and a discussion board from reading experts, and ongoing workshops, ongoing materials for students. And we have, as of COVID, now we have an online software too for doing one of our core activities, which relates to the challenge.
So we have our oldest is 6. We have 6, 4, and 2-year-old. Our oldest is 6. He's in kindergarten. He loves math and science, loves building stuff, drawing things, like just creative about the wazoo. He got a letter from his kindergarten teacher the other day, or we got a letter sent home that he's struggling with reading, and they're giving him like extra training or whatever in school. So during, I don't know, whatever free time they have, he'll go to like a reading tutorial thing. So as his parents, would this be a product we could buy to help, or is this more for his kindergarten teacher?
Both. It depends on the parent. It is a learning a system that's diagnostic. And so it's not just open the book and do this on day one. So some parents are attracted to a model that's very instant and not learning a whole system. So but we do have probably 10 to 15%, I should get better data on that of our members are teachers. I'm rather parents who are working with their own child.
Okay.
Some parents get in and then they say, oh, I need to get a tutor to do this, or I need to tell my child's teacher to do this. So, and then we have a lot of overlap where there's parents who are also teachers. That's one of our most interesting audience because they have double the motivation for joining.
Yeah.
But most of our clients are teachers.
Okay. And what's the price point of the product?
We have 2 price points on the main page, open to the public all the time. It's $347 per year or $39 per month. And it's a subscription model. And then for a lot of our live events like this challenge that we're going to talk about, it's $247 for annual or $29 a month.
Okay. So they get a pretty decent discount if they sign up during the challenge.
Yeah.
Cool.
This is just something new that we started in the beginning of 2021 and raised our prices because we hadn't raised them in a long, long time.
Good. But everybody listen to Marnie. If you've never raised your price, the first thing you should do is go raise your price and tell everybody about it. That is the single best campaign you'll ever run as a price increase campaign. Great. That's good. So are there any other products in the mix, or is it purely the membership sold either annually or by the month?
up till this point, we'd really only had the membership, but because of your team, I created a downsell offer, which is just spinning off one of the units in the main course. And 51 people bought that after the live event.
Like a downsell
And
after
I
the challenge
frankly-
was over. Yeah.
Right. And I frankly forgot the price point, but I think it was 47, but discounted to 27.
Okay.
And I need to invest more energy into that. I think there's a lot of potential for that because people after this event, they're clamoring for more information about this one activity that's in this one little mini course.
Yeah.
And we could nurture those people into the membership if we put more energy into it. But it's right now, it's just it's in its beta phase.
And that spinoff product is a one-time sell item, right?
Right.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, so let's go to the 5-day challenge. You recently ran a 5-day challenge. It brought in $50K in membership sales, over 200 new people. Give us a high-level overview of how it worked.
Well, we the logistics of the event. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like from a user perspective or a audience member perspective, like how did the challenge lay out? How did that drive sales? Just kind of what was the layout of it?
Okay, so about a week ahead of time, we start reaching people and try to get them to sign up. And then we get them, once they sign up on a landing page, then they get a little information about the event. And then we also encourage them at every step of the way to get into a Facebook group where they can also get additional resources to implement the core activity of the challenge. And they learn that the goal of the challenge is to increase their own child or their classroom children's reading achievement in just 5 days. And so we do that through teaching them one simple activity that would really help your child and help with word recognition.
Yeah.
And they test it out each day. And each day I go live on Facebook, also was streamed over to YouTube. Most of the audience is on Facebook. I teach one kind of micro concept with this simple activity, get them started doing it. And then I also show them a video of a student who I worked with for 5 days in a row with just that one activity for 8 minutes a day. So just seeing like a mini experiment, what is possible with that one thing. And then of course we ask for feedback each day in these Facebook lives and on a comment thread for what impact they're seeing. How are the kids' letter sound knowledge getting better? And how is their perception of sounds getting better? It's called phonemic awareness.
Yeah.
One of the key things that a lot of people don't know about is that helps with beginning reading. And we incentivize them every day to comment about their results so that we draw at least one winner each day for the following day for the previous day's participation. And then we have a grand prize on Friday. And on Friday, so we have a longer Facebook Live where we don't just show the star student and how he grew and he learned 13 letter sounds in 1 week and improved from being able to do 3 sound words to being able to do 5 sound words in 1 week.
Wow.
We show that, but then we pitch the Reading Simplified Academy.
Gotcha.
And try to get them on, to buy right then. And of course, then there's a follow-up email sequence. And each year, I've been doing this actually for a while. Yeah. And each year I try to get better at priming the pump for the sale on Friday, like hinting at the Reading Simplified Academy and what else is out there. We've actually been strangely like a victim of our own success. One of the weaknesses of a challenge is if you can get too much success, then people think that they're done. So you want to leave a gap.
Yeah. So, okay, what's the exercise you teach? I'm just selfishly interested for our own kid. And
I was hoping you would ask that because this is a big deal.
Good.
So here you go. This would be the easiest level for a kid who is at that beginning level. And we call it switch it. So you ask the child, you have the word map. I want you to switch one thing to make map into mat. Which thing should we switch to make map into mat? And hopefully they realize they need to take away the p. What sound goes there? T. And yet, which one of these is t? Yeah, that's t. And so they make those switches, and we draw attention to sounds and the phonics information, but it's also really important to get the sound. This is the missing piece that most, even classroom teachers, have not been taught. I was not taught this in undergrad, even though it is the #1 predictor of good reading achievement, being able to perceive the individual sounds and words. Yeah. And I bet you I bet you $100 your child is struggling because of this.
Yeah.
Do they hear that the ending sound in mat is t? That's the first step. Then second, and actually much less important, is getting that this is t. So we show that, and then we advance from 3 sound words to 4 sound words, change send to scent, and 5 sound words, change stomp to stump. And they all along the way, because it's paired contrast. If you have to change stomp to stump, you have to think, what's the difference between those two? And that analysis forces you to have a quicker ability to learn the difference between and
So finding words that you kind of prime them with words that can easily hot swap with just
one switch is usually the best for the beginner.
Yeah. That's fat. So during the challenge, you're teaching them to do, the facilitator, either the parent or the teacher, to do that. And during the process of just doing that for 8 minutes a day for 5 days, the student is able to pick it up way quicker and see measured result.
Yeah. So, and they see what we call them our star student, a video of the first challenge. They see him each day moving along. And then again, like I said, they report their own progress, and people get really excited about that progress.
Yeah. And
this is our biggest event of the year in terms of publicity and excitement and engagement. It's through the roof.
Okay. So I understand the challenge format, understand the exercise that's being taught, understand on day 5, you're starting the promotion, and some people will buy live, some people will buy when they watch the recording. You have a couple emails that go out following up. You had mentioned that you had gotten 600 leads from partners into your last challenge. So I'm just going to make an assumption. You had your list and you had partners promoting. Like, walk us through, how did people register for the challenge? What were the different sources and how did that work?
Right. We did Facebook ads as well, but I didn't have a lot of time this season to do a good job of that. So we only got about 500 or 600 from Facebook, I think, too. So these partners, most of them I had connected with before, mostly because of your work and inspiring that. And they had done like maybe a live webinar with me before, or we'd done an email swap. And so I think this was the first time I'd gotten to do the level up, this 5-day challenge with me. And one was actually the largest partner, and she had, this was her first event partnering with me. So I just, connected with them, and they were excited about the idea. And then they would just send a link to Thrive Card is our sales card. They would send an affiliate link to their list just to register. So if they were registered through that, that link, then they would get credit for the sale.
Gotcha. Do you know how many of your 200 people came directly from partners versus from your own audience?
I don't remember the data on the registrations. The sales were actually kind of low. Most of the partners have smaller audiences than I do. And also sometimes I wonder if they're not as perfect a fit. One of them is, for instance, more direct to parents. And and also the whole thing, even though I'm really excited about this challenge and we do it every year, the sales conversions were actually fairly low for us.
What were how many leads were there that converted to 204?
Pardon? What
was the conversion? So how many potential conversions did you have, and how many? You had 204, but what was the leads?
Yeah, there was 9,500 people that signed up, which is the biggest number I've ever had.
Yeah.
So that's just I think it's a 2% conversion rate. And but I just went back and looked at the live events we've done since, and we have, for people that were registered for the 4 live events we've done since, we've sold 144 more. Yeah. To that group. I don't know for sure if they came in exclusively from that event. Yeah. So my tracking's not that, I don't have that sophistication, but I know that they registered and they didn't buy at that time, but they bought later. So it's an ongoing, obviously the leads are going to most likely pay off someday.
That makes sense. One just random tip or thing to consider is thinking of maybe solves or starts noodling on solving the, people feel like they got it all concept, problem.
I know.
It would be interesting to go through each of the 5 days and to fully audit each one of them, but reformatting that into a problem, agitate, solve framework, where instead of the whole 5 days, and I'm making some assumptions here because we haven't broken down all 5 days. No, but you're right. But instead of teaching them things instead of teaching them the endpoint activity all 5 days, use you can have an action item to do every day that is constructive and helpful, but you want the end point of that to be they're perfectly primed for the sell, not like teaching people how to do things doesn't get them ready to buy. It gives them things to do, which is somewhat a distraction from buying. And it hasn't overcome a lot of their big objections, meaning like the best thing for them is to buy your thing, not to just do this one exercise. So using a problem as you solve framework over the 5 days could be a really interesting way to keep the heart of it. And you still teach the exercise that actually gets some transformation. But you've introduced the problem, agitated the degree of that problem and the pain it's causing. You give them one pain relief exercise on day 4, and then day 5 is the actual sell. But they're like, the urgency is higher. Like the problem went from being something that, I got a problem with that, to something now that's like, oh man, this is holding my career back. This is like, I don't feel nearly as fulfilled because I don't have as many kids passing, class. I got 6 kids in this remedial reading class now. Like that looks bad for me. Like whatever the agitation points are that a teacher would feel guilty or bad about, like you've agitated the mess out of those in day 1 and 2, or you've introduced them, painted them, agitated them, given them one slight pain relief magic moment exercise. But like, that's just like a little sip of water in the desert. Like they're still extremely thirsty, and know that like, this one exercise isn't causing that guilt or shame or whatever to go away. That could be an interesting way. I mean, we need to dig into the details, but that's something that comes to mind think about with the structure of it for next time is use it in that way. Anyway,
that works because this activity, even though it's so powerful, it doesn't teach them to read directly. It's because you already give them the word. It's not. So those kinds of points can be drawn out each day and maybe agitated, as you said. My problem has always been like keeping it short so that busy teachers will show up each day and not feel like, oh my gosh, that was interesting, but I just got overwhelmed. I couldn't keep up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like imagine day 1 not being an exercise like you've been teaching at all. Imagine day 1 is simply the goal internally for day 1 is to put the problem, like right now for Miss Colglazer, that's my son's teacher. Like becoming a better reading teacher, I'm sure is on her priority list somewhere, but it's like the 200th most important thing in her life right now. By the end of day 1, it needs to be like number 30.
Yeah. Okay.
By the end of day 3, it needs to be like number 10. If not, she's not buying. Nothing you teach her after that. If the urgency and the importance of that problem that she knows is there somewhere, but by the end of watching your videos for 3 days, so maybe at day 1, it is like, maybe this is the exercise. I'm just making stuff up, so this could be totally off point with your actual topic, but this is an example of like of present the pain part 1, agitate the pain part 2, exercise to help alleviate, to build trust with you and help them give momentum part 3, and then pitch. But a problem exercise could be like, pick one of 3, like give them, like maybe in the teaching, it's like teachers want to become better reading teachers for 1 of 3 reasons, either to advance their career because they get better marks, to feel like they're actually making an impact because they feel shame when they go home because they got 6 of their 12 people don't even know how to read. Like maybe those are the 2. What your exercise today is to decide which one is your reason for wanting to be better. And then to write down, if it's number 2, I want you to write down the name of one kid on a sticky note right now who, whereby you becoming a better teacher, their life has changed. Now you got them emotionally. Now, like that immediately took it from number 272 on the list of important things I need to do in my life to like probably the top 10 because now there's a kid attached to it. And I might even frame the whole exercise around, don't even give them another option. It's like, hey, what kid in your class would have their life changed if in the next 2 weeks their reading increased by 10x? Write their name down. Put it on a sticky note on your monitor where you're watching this right now. Make it the lock screen on your phone because the next 4 days is not about you becoming a better teacher. It's about you changing that kid's life. That's a day 1 exercise.
That's good.
Yeah. Now every time you agitate it, it's about the kid. It's not about them.
Yeah.
It's not about a teaching. It's not about a mechanical exercise. Yeah.
And so in case this might help your audience, I default too much to teaching the great idea instead of selling them on what they need, that psychological thing that they need to do to be able to keep going, which I believe is to buy, because that will improve their outcomes. But so I'm just focusing on, you look at the power of this and look what we don't know. And I mean, I do the same thing. Cool, and that's important, but it's
totally the beliefs underlying that. I don't really
I just assume that that's going to be provoked, and it is. Though
Right.
the people that bought, that's what was provoked,
Mhm.
but I don't draw it out. So
Yeah.
this is really smart.
Well, you when you go to, and I mean, you could watch any webinar I've ever done for 9 years, and every webinar is a handful of tactics that I love and geek out on that I teach. But my webinars are not great conversion webinars. They're good, but they've never been A+ because it's me teaching a bunch of stuff. And
Yeah, that's what I
because
do.
I just love sharing stuff and it's fun. But
Right.
the realization I had, I think I was reading Russell Brunson's Expert Secrets book, and I think he put this bet. He made an argument that actually finally made the light bulb go off for me, that until they have the aha moment that doing your exercise will actually help them accomplish the thing they want, they will never actually do the exercise. So why are you even teaching them the thing? It doesn't matter.
Okay, that's
So by attaching it to the kid, there's a point. By then agitating that, so it's even
time
more.
is the other big thing.
What's up?
Saving time.
Yeah.
This activity can slash literally like 5 other activities that they have to do every day.
Yeah, so their job's just funner because they can do less stuff they don't want to do. Yeah, that's good. Okay, let's we're way in the weeds of, but this is really helpful to understand what you're doing, even layer a potential like fix to not converting as well as you want. Let's go details into if somebody were going to do a 5-day challenge type of launch promotion, what are like 2 or 3 tips you would give them if they're a first time challenge funnel runner? What are a handful of things you would suggest they do or look out for or optimize for?
Well, you have to have a really catchy title. You have to really be promising something that sounds, there's a very clear benefit on the end for them.
Yeah.
It can't be, and it can't be generic, like lose weight. It's got to be, drop.
What's your
drop 5
title?
pounds.
Just as a way of example.
We change it. It's just slightly every year, but it's level up your reader's achievement in 5 days. I think the 5 days is important, but sometimes we have to drop it because, depending on the length of what window we have in like an email heading and whatnot. But that's probably I think that's the biggest thing because I've done a lot of challenges personally, and I've also been tracking this whole marketing angle since 2017.
Yeah.
And it's really all about the title and maybe the graphic, like, or some, whatever that message that you're pitching. It's got to be really, in an instant you get the concept. And then if you have time, build up to it with content. So probably doing what you just said, agitate the problem so that then when you have, this is the solution here, I'm going to give it to you. So that could be through blogs or podcasts or whatever your medium is. So we also do, we pitch, of course, our audience with we put a lot of energy into the invites. I think they get emailed at least twice. And then the day of the event, they get one more email saying, we're going live, in case you missed out on the sign up. We do a lot of reaching out to our Facebook groups, other Facebook groups, and ask them if we can share that post with their groups. And that's actually worked really well for us. Yeah. That's probably why we got to 9,000 this year. I don't think that was from my list. There was a little bit of mini virality in it.
That's a legit lead gen event. If nothing, even if they didn't convert, that's a ton of new leads. That's awesome.
Yeah. I was surprised.
Yeah.
And we do Facebook ads.
Yeah.
Usually I have more time for them. And then plus Facebook's actually been more tricky since iOS update for me anyway, probably most people. Those are, and then another one was after you get started, don't think the marketing is over, because especially if you do like a live event, that generates a lot of social media engagement, and you're more likely to reach somebody at that point. So we actually change our landing page. It's like, there's a counter for marking down the time until it starts. And then we say something like, we've already started, but you can still catch up, or something like that. And we keep pushing that. And then we also do retargeting campaigns for the Facebook Live on day 1 and day 2.
Okay.
So just try to get more eyeballs at the beginning.
Yeah, that makes sense. So top tips are the title and the thumbnail, really attractive, really good hook that sucks people in. 2, make sure you promote it, different branches you've done that in as ads, your own list, partners. 3, make sure you follow up, and even you said this at the very beginning, do down sales at the end to fully convert any leads that you have in the funnel. I guess you said 50, it was about $50. That's another $2,500 or so in the sale, which is about.
That's not very much. It's not worth it, but it's it needs to be a lead gen then to buy later.
An interesting strategy on that would be you sell it for $49 or $99 or whatever the price. The $49 is probably good because it needs to be cheaper than whatever your monthly price is to be a down sell. But it also gives them a 30 days free in the membership, and then there's an auto convert into being an actual member. And you give them warnings and whatnot.
I love that. Yeah.
Day 31, they become a member, and they're a paying member. And you tell them 3 or 4 days ahead of time, hey, you're coming up. If you want to cancel, let me know. But if not, you just auto charge them.
Yeah.
So you could have added another
Brian.
30 paying monthly members into it. And then it becomes super interesting.
Right. Okay. That's brilliant. We already do a $1 trial for Cyber Monday. It's the only time we drop the price. And that is one of our big conversion events too, for that same reason.
Yeah.
So
that's good. Marnie, would you be open to, I would love to see just personally and to be able to share, let somebody be able to see the challenge. I don't know if the Facebook is available. We could look through the videos and whatnot.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Well, we'll follow up with you.
I was curious, what some of the, when you're in the middle of it, you don't necessarily track everything. I mean, a tip is to prepare all your content well in advance so that once you get going, you can just respond and react. But I was looking at the engagement, that it's that. So I do have some of it up if that's.
Yeah, that'd be great. We'll follow up and get a link to the group. And then I'm sure from there we can sleuth through and find the different videos on the different days and kind of get the basic flow of what's going on. That'd be fun to see. And I'm sure others would benefit from that as well. Hey, thank you so much for taking the time to share. This was fantastic.
Well, thank you.
I'm excited to jump in and see how you did it. Yeah, absolutely. Give everybody a quick brief of where they can find you and your site and where they can learn more about you. And if there's somebody like me whose kid is actually struggling with reading as a parent, they could go find out more.
Yeah. Readingsimplified.com is where we have a lot of complimentary content. So you can test out this activity if you go to the blog and look for the switch it activity. So you can test it out. We have free resources and some little videos so you can see it and put it in action, see if it works for your child.
Cool.
We also have an on-demand webinar called 3 Activities a Day to Keep Reading Difficulties Away. Okay. So you can see about switch it and then 2 other really critical ones that are not happening in the traditional classroom. And that would be readingsimplified.com /webinar.
Perfect. I'm going to be going there tonight because my wife and I were literally talking last night about how to help him. So that's great. Marnie, thank you so much.
Can I make a little pitch? Can I make one little pitch?
Yes, absolutely.
Because you're not the only one.
Yeah.
If you hear this from this is not about Reading Simplified. This is just a general reading piece of knowledge that a lot of parents don't have. If you hear that your child is struggling in kindergarten and first grade, take really aggressive action to redeem that, because kids who don't learn to read by the end of first grade, 9 out of 10 times they will still be struggling years later.
Wow.
And struggling with reading just makes school a total drain.
Yeah.
So it's totally worth parents investing in it. And sadly, I love our school teachers. They're trying really hard, but the way they've been taught how to teach reading is misguided most of the time. Yeah. And so they're using tools that are super inefficient, and a lot of kids struggle. So a lot of parents are having to solve this problem for their child. So don't think that you can count on some external system to solve it.
Yeah, that's great. And timely for me. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I might be following up with you to get help.
My pleasure. Right. Anytime.
Thank you so much. Go check out Marnie's site. We'll send out Facebook link where y'all can check out the group and go through her challenge and look at it and get on her list for the next one she does. You can reverse engineer it as she does it and learn from it and apply it to your industry. So thanks, Marnie. Have a good one. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Okay. Bye.
Will, Ben, that was really interesting. I don't think we've ever done a challenge launch, even when we were selling courses and things, but that really sparked a lot of different ideas for me and how we would apply that. What was going on for you as you were listening to Marnie? Nope.
Yeah, my first thought, I was
Well,
like waiting on Ben there,
it was
obviously.
muted. but
My
just
first
talking.
thought was I
Yeah,
shouldn't
we got
be.
the lag thing again. I don't know what's going on with the lag. We got to fix
Brian,
the
can you hear
connection.
me?
Yeah, we got a serious audio video lag. So I'm going to cut y'all because that's really awkward to listen to. All right. So we talked about last time. We talked about next week what we're going to talk about specifically how to get $50,000 from the IRS from an obscure online business tax law. If you run a business, if you've ever sold anything, if you've ever paid an expense for a business expense before, for a previous business, your current business, show up, pay attention. This could be big for you. I want to give a couple shout outs real quick to clients from this week. These are current coaching clients we're working with that sent in wins they had this week. This is from Courtney Elmer. She's had a great live interview with my first marketing partner. Also ran a lead magnet swap with him and welcomed 100 new leads to my list. It was really cool hearing from Marnie about all the leads she generated from doing a bunch of partnerships as well. And Courtney had a similar one here. But a couple of anonymous ones. Some people give us permission to share the win, but not their name. This is from first initial L. L said, I made my first $50,000 launch last week. And now I made my first course and made $100,000 with my courses in under a year. Online course creator, 4 months into coaching with us, $100,000 of revenue and just did her first $50,000 launch. Another one from, again, don't have permission to share their name of the business, but first letter of their name is R. R said we hit a 1K of MRR growth in February, so $1,000 of MRR on top of what they already do. And the goal is to hit $2,000 in additional growth in a scalable manner by the end of the next month. So awesome wins from clients. Ben and Will, I won't put you back on video because the video lag thing is super weird. We'll have to work on that for next week. Any shout outs for people that were in the audience this week, people that were especially engaged or active or commenting as they went? And after this, we'll switch to team brief. So give a couple shout outs that you saw.
Yeah, totally. So Speed, thanks for being here. I think you've been here for pretty much every single one of them with awesome feedback and tips. Like, just appreciate you showing up. Makes it really fun for us. Mark Wadlington wants to be in your Bible study, Brian, and has one on Acts.
Oh, no way.
I think
That's
that
cool.
he wants to give you too.
Yeah, sweet.
So yeah, and Mark, you were super engaged the whole time. So thanks again. It makes it really fun for us. And then Jason, who popped off just a little bit ago, said he's going to go try the strategy and get a super high ticket client. So
oh, on the meat of the workshop. That's great. Yeah, I'd love some case studies on that because we're going to put together a playbook for all our clients and walk them through doing that. So I'd love to get some case studies generated before we do that. So that's awesome.
Eduardo, 2 weeks in a row. You still here?
Was he here earlier?
Yeah, he was here. I just wanted to do this one too.
All right. I expect a comment from Eduardo tomorrow saying he got his first $25,000 client. I'm going to be disappointed. Hey, by the way, if you're still here, punch the like button on YouTube. That helps like the video do well. And I'd love for you to leave a comment with the number one thing you took away from today. We shared a bunch of stuff. I shared a book. I shared some swipe. I shared landing pages that work for us. We taught you an in-depth topic on how to get a high-end coaching client. Marnie taught you how to do a 5-day challenge. I shared some random shows and stuff from me. I'd love to just know if you got one thing out of today, even if it's super small, leave a comment on YouTube with what your one thing is. What's the one thing you took away from today? Would love to hear that and have that historically for people that come back and watch this over the next week or so. Will, how about you? Any shout outs this week?
Yeah, I brought Marnie on to Growth U years ago, and she came back on board, kind of our 2.0 version of Growth University, just a few months ago. And when she hired us, she said she wanted a CMO, like a chief marketing officer, but she didn't really know what that meant or how to find the right person, nor did she have like a multiple six figures, set aside to pay somebody like that. And she was like, you guys are that for me. And I think that's so cool. And so that's actually one of the first times I've gotten to like be live with Marnie on a call, even though we've had multiple interactions over the last several years. Yeah. So I'm just really appreciative of her being here. And it's really fun when we get to work with just such kind-hearted, awesome educators like that. Like, ideal customer and client of ours is just an awesome educator who wants to share and change people's lives. Yeah. So that was really cool. I appreciate her being abundant and sharing some of those hot tips that she had on the call live. That was really cool.
Yeah. Major shout out to Marnie for spending all that time and going in detail. And I'm really looking forward to getting the Facebook link to look through her videos and understand the flow of it. That was really good. Reading Simplified. I keep getting CMO advice here. That's good. That's the point. I love it. Untethered Life high-end coaching clients I did was super helpful. Really, everything was great, and I took lots of notes. That's great. Make sure you don't just take notes. Make sure you go do stuff too. That's important. Fran said, I love the 4-part marketing plan. It was a great tip I took away. Reading Simplified, Marnie. Jason asked about why 5 days. That's good. Other people with challenges have found that interest drops beyond 5 days. I find too that 5 days is needed to get the promised transformation. Patrick, very informative, took lots of notes. It's good. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate that. So, all right, here's what we're going to do. The last segment we have, y'all's heart-centered, generous approach is really evident. Thank you so much. I appreciate you saying that. So in the last 10 minutes or so, we used to do this, we would shut down Shop Talk right now and go have a Zoom call with the whole team and debrief how Shop Talk went this week. And we thought, like, why don't we just do it on Shop Talk? Why don't we talk shop about Shop Talk on Shop Talk? So starting now, although the video stuff's really weird, I don't know what's going on. Will seems to be super laggy for some reason, video and audio mismatch. But we're going to turn back on the cameras of several of the team members that are here. Bethany's going to turn her audio on. And we're just going to run down things that today went well, things that went well, things that didn't go well, and some improvements for next week on Shop Talk. So this is literally just our internal team talking, although y'all feel free to pipe in as well. I'd love to get ideas, but we're going to make some adjustments and notes for next week. So we're going to do that now. Ben, Will, Bethany, what went well, what didn't go well, what do you want to change for next week?
Cool. Well, I think one of the things I keep my eye on is the invite. And I think the invite was less compelling this week. We crushed it last week. Super hot topic, really engaging. Lots of people signed up. Our peak viewership was a little bit more than half of what it was last time. So yeah. I'm interested to see.
Last time peak was 175, right?
Something like that, yeah.
But we were over 100 for sure, so it wasn't half.
Well, it's 60, 70% of what we were at.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. Okay. You think that's all invite based?
I think a lot of it is. But I think we probably got a higher percentage of people who clicked to show up because I changed the way that you can save to the calendar. So I think that was an improvement.
Good. Cool. When you look at the invite email that we sent, is there something in retrospect that you would have changed in how we talked about it to make it more crunchy for folks?
Maybe. We led with the 25K client in the subject line, or the 55K client. It was the story of my 55K client, I think is what we ran with for the subject line, which probably is not totally relatable. It's supposed to be anyway, I was on the fence about which one to choose.
Yeah. Because the promise feels pretty strong.
I actually really like.
Will's got some crazy lag crap going on. All right, try again. We're just going to be quiet, and maybe your audio will catch up with your video. Go ahead.
So I really like what somebody said in the chat. She had mentioned she said, this is Untethered Life. Action steps noted. We'll be taking action this week. It might be really cool if we could build out some kind of simple action guide on each episode, hey, go do steps 1 through 6 after this, right? Something really, really, really simple. Obviously the whole episode should be an action guide, but
yeah, I mean, the workshop, the steps exist because I teach them in steps and give resources for each step. And I think even for a couple of them, we made an action guide like that. So it's not even a lot of work to do it. We're doing you could easily distill the workshop into step 1, 2, 3 because it's even taught like that. That's good. I like that. Robbie said, is there a correlation between when you asked to share last week and total viewers last week? It's hard to watch.
Yeah, we typically get a spike.
We did?
Yeah, we typically do. It's hard to measure exactly who comes from that, but I can go to Bitly clicks and we do get a lot of 30%, 25% of total viewers.
Wow, that's surprising.
Yeah.
Cool. What else? Didn't change for next time. Bethany?
I was going to say I had our total high number at 108 between 430 and 340 and 340 doing time conversions in my head. So a couple notes that I had is that, first of all, this has gone super long. I feel like last week and this week the show went, I think we'd planned 90 minutes, but now we're at over 2 hours. And I think we were last week too. So I don't know if we're going to plan on keep doing that, or if we, I didn't know if you used, I think last week you had said you needed a shot clock and I didn't know if you used that this week or not. having like benchmarks or milestones for when you were talking about different segments. Another note I had was just like, obviously we want to have our clients come in here with us, the studio pass, and we weren't able to get Zoom working this week.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like a big deal. And so, you know, it was a little bit clunky, like me sitting there waiting for clients to show up and be like, oh, we had technical difficulties. So like, here's YouTube, you know, that kind of thing. But I will say I love the YouTube format. Like even just, I keep it up next to the eCam and then I have that muted, but just like the whole interface and everything is like awesome. And it's way better where you can like tag people and like the chat, even just the chat feature is better compared to Zoom. So I like that. I like the interface. It's a lot cleaner. And like, of course, I personally rejoice that there are no hackers last week or this week because that is super stressful to do that. And I'm trying to think what else. I had down a couple other notes, but is Will going to be like a guest? Oh, there I am. Is Will going am I lagging? Oh, I am lagging. Oh no. Okay. Is Will going to stay on here? Because I like it.
Yeah, I think so.
like it.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that's all that I had, but
okay,
I'm happy to check notes. Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else? Will, Ben?
Yeah, I got one thing. If we can tighten the recommendations and advice segment, that we spent 23 minutes on that today, which feels long.
Yeah, so maybe let's talk about that for a second. Does it matter if we go long? Like, do we want this to be, because I mean, I could see it from both perspectives. Do we want this to be a tight 80-minute show? Or does the relationship building and everything from going 2.5 hours, like, do we care? I guess I'm kind of on the fence. I could go either way, and I probably oscillate back and forth.
The only reason I even bring it up is because, like, if our interviewee has to wait longer than expected, just like an experience thing, or we're anchoring the interview to get people to watch, but then we take 23 minutes to get to it, people are going to drop. So that's my view on it.
Would you go straight from workshop to interview?
I think you could. And I think it's fine to have the shares there. But I think keeping it to like 5 to 7 minutes max, I think. Honestly, comment section, super interested in your guys' feedback on this one because it's your experience.
Robbie said you need to start having Will interacting now be ready for next week because of the lag. Maybe you need to restart your computer before you get on, Will. I don't know. Get the Zoom bugs out and just start from scratch. Probably just Alabama internet.
It's a 2016 or 13 laptop, I think is the problem.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Yeah. I hear you, Ben.
I'll say just too, for me, like from a selfish perspective, is that like for me right now it's 6:11. So it's like super into dinner time. You know what I mean? Like for me. So I mean that's just that's part of being in Eastern time, but just I think other people were saying they had a jet for dinner, and I know everyone is in different time zones, but yeah.
Hey, Jeanette was put you on camera. So
what's up, Jeanette?
What's up,
Jeanette?
Oh, I'm here. I was just typing you guys' comments because I couldn't talk to you. But I'm sorry, Bethany, you were talking. I just got excited that I was involved. I got to be included.
Yeah, I'd be okay starting it too. I don't really mind going long personally, but I mean, you should probably check that against reality of attendance and people that stick on and whatnot. I'd be willing to try next week moving the interview to right after workshop and then putting the other stuff at the end. And if it just goes long, it goes long. It's somewhat optimizing for the best pieces of content and people viewing them and whatnot. But I don't know. Yeah. I
felt like the commercials were really better. Like they were well done, and the call to action was stronger, and it felt very relaxed. It wasn't book a call or get off my YouTube, but it felt good. So I'm very curious if we get more calls booked this week. That would be really exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of with Speed. I mean, you want to keep retention. So I think if you go long, you want to keep refining format so people actually stay. But, if there's last week, there was 80 people over 2 hours in, and I'm like, that's great. Those 80 people, relationships going through the roof, trust factors going through the roof. I don't necessarily care, but what else could we spend that time with? That's interesting. A couple things I like this week. I like the intro. I'll keep refining just how I talk about it, but I like the introducing all of us part. I like putting a pitch early, or like a soft pitch early. I like this 3-part video format outside of the weird lag thing from Will. I don't think I saw it from Ben. Actually, I saw it from me one time, and that was super confusing because it's my computer. So that was bizarre. I like the workshop. I thought the teaching was good and the concept was good. Obviously, the invite, it sounds like this is probably my personal favorite one, although attendance was lower. But as far as the flow of the entire thing, I liked it probably the most of any of them so far. Ben, what did you think about the call to action?
Well, it worked better this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Someone, maybe if you're still here, someone went through the email workflow and actually booked a call after your little 30-45 second thing. So
okay.
I guess that worked.
Yeah. Okay.
And SMS opt-ins, total volume's lower, but the rate I think is competitive with where we've been in past weeks. So overall, opt-in's good.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Anything else? I know you Eastern people. Well, and me. I'm past work hours. All right. This is good. Appreciate y'all. See you next week.
Great stuff.
Bye.